He's a classic Nazi.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, February 9th, 2020. This is your award-winning Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1215.
This is No Agenda.
Canceling our cruise tickets and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the drone star state. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm selling off my closet, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Okay, you've got me interested. The closet or the contents of the closet?
Oh, the contents of the closet.
Oh, my goodness. This is a treasure trove.
Yeah.
Are you putting it on Etsy?
I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. But the first item is going to be done item by item.
Wait a minute. I don't understand. What? You're a classically trained archivist.
Yeah.
Why would you consider giving anything away?
I'm not giving it away. I'm selling.
Getting rid of any. No, I understand. And how did you come to this? This is big news. This is shocking.
Because I'm worried about a couple of the items. I know they're going to end up getting damaged or something is going to, and they should be in the hands of a capable fellow archivist.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Are you going to do it item per item, and can we discuss each one on a different episode of the show?
Yeah.
Okay. What's today? What do we have on the docket?
I have a Microsoft Bob Frisbee.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, we will be posting a picture later, of course.
I have it.
Of this fine collector's item. And what do you hope to get for this item on today's show, John?
$100.
$100? Okay, great. Well, and how many items do you think you have? How long will it take?
About a year.
Before we've gotten rid of everything.
Year to 2 years.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'm very excited about this this estate sale. A stank. A stank sale. Okay. I have a suggestion.
By the way, I should mention the Microsoft Bob Frisbee has never been flown. It's just as mint condition.
Virgin. Does it have plastic on it or any other markings that will prove its virginity?
You can just look at it and tell it's never been used.
Okay. Virgin Bob, everybody, $100. Can't wait. It's very exciting. Well, you know what? Since we're just kind of getting off to a different start, there was something that happened on the last show that we, as marketers, branders, marketers, advertising executives, should be kind of interested in.
Yes.
And
as I'd like to put it, marketeers.
Marketeers. Yes. Let me see. Okay, right away, everything that I wanted to do, of course, falls apart. Here, no, I got it. Okay,
there he is.
Let me play for you the piece from the show, and Tina actually called me out on this. She said, "What was going on there? What exactly did you think you remembered? What did you really know what John was talking about?" This is from 1214. This is about the Super Bowl advertisements.
They had a lot of screwy stuff too. In the Google ad was creepy. That was enjoyable because it was so bad.
Wait a minute, which one was that? Which? Oh my gosh, that was horrible.
The worst ad. I think it was the worst ad.
Yeah, explain it again.
I don't remember it. All I remember, I just have in my note, horrible, worst ad ever. Creepy Google ad. So it was not effective in terms of memory.
No. So here is what happened. I remember, because Tina asked me, because you said you kind of pretended like you knew what it was, and then you said, "John, why don't you tell us?" Fully well knowing that I wouldn't really remember what was going on. And then you didn't remember. I was immediately looking at the troll room to see if they remembered. Tina told me about this and said she didn't remember the ad either. So I figured we'd play the ad.
Hey Google, showed me photos of me and Loretta.
Do you remember what the ad was now?
Oh, yeah.
Here's the nutty part. The ad is literally for a service that helps you remember, and neither you, me, the troll room, or my wife could remember the ad. This has to be some subliminal thing that is wrong with this advertisement.
Or right with it.
Say what?
Or right with it.
Oh, well, no, but if they're trying if they're trying to promote something to help you remember, you should at least.
And you can't remember the ad. It's possible it's dug into your brain.
So this is and the reason it was kind of creepy is because it was clearly an old guy whose wife had died, and he's saying, "Oh yeah, remember all this, Google, remember it for me," and then Google, of course, remembers and will tell him. And it was just there's something about what was going on that no one remembered the actual ad. And I just wanted to put that as a data point. Also, a data point to this comment.
Okay, here's the problem. What was with all these callbacks to the 60s and 70s? How old was this audience?
Exactly. That ad was for 80-year-olds.
Oh, that's an interesting connection.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, the callbacks were annoying. I mean, they weren't to me. I got all of them, but I'm sitting there watching it with Jay, and she's looking at it, going, "What do you think that's about?" I don't know, because they didn't know. There's no way you would know half of these callbacks. I mean, all that was missing was an F Troop callback.
F Troop. That's even hard for me to remember.
Yeah.
All right. We have, maybe before we get into debates, we do just something a little more international for everybody. Even seeing the ratings of the debates, people don't care that much more in America, just as a little I
have a few debate clips.
Side interest. Well, why don't we, you want to do some Wuhan flu to get that out of the way first?
Well, what do you got?
What you got? Blue from the Wuhan flu.
Okay, Wuhan flu, what I got? I got this guy. He's a professor at University of Chicago. I think that's where he's from. His name is Dr. Boyle. He's actually the guy.
Dr. Boyle?
Have you heard of Dr. Boyle?
Is his first name Lance?
That would be funny, wouldn't it? No. Let me see if I can find his first. Francis Boyle. He is the. And he drafted the Biological Weapons Act. And he still works at the university at Chicago. Let me see which one it is.
Okay, well before we play that, let's play the update on PBS of the coronavirus story that came out on Saturday, and then they'll go right into that.
Okay, and it's titled
Coronavirus Update Saturday.
All right, here we go.
U.S. officials announced today that an American citizen has died from the coronavirus in the Chinese city of Wuhan. The 60-year-old woman who died on Thursday reportedly had underlying health issues before becoming the first known American fatality from the illness. As the death toll rises and the virus spreads, authorities from around the world are taking strict precautions to slow the spread of the deadly disease. Hong Kong said today that it will begin enforcing a mandatory quarantine for anyone arriving from mainland China. And 3,700 people are being ordered to remain aboard a cruise ship for 14 days after 64 passengers tested positive for the virus. The coronavirus has infected nearly 35,000 people globally since it was first detected in December.
Right. So the main issues, the things that I'm hearing, but of course have no evidence of because we really don't know how honest the Communist Party of China is being, that every number you hear, you should probably just multiply it by 10. That's the general consensus among people discussing it at great length. Dr. Francis Boyle, here it is, drafted the U.S. domestic implementing legislation for the Biological Weapons Convention, known as the Biological Weapons Anti-Terrorism Act of 1989, that was approved by both houses of the U.S. and signed into law by H.W. Bush. And he really doesn't get on mainstream media anymore. I'm not sure why. I have a feeling that he might have said something during SARS that pissed somebody off and they just ignored. So he shows up on all kinds of other podcasts and radio shows. This is my favorite radio station, KPOO. KPOO. Are you familiar with KPOO FM?
Actually, I am. I've heard of that station.
I think it's a West Coast. K-Poo, everybody. Here he is.
I routinely monitor outbreaks of disease around the world, both for humans and animals, to see if there might be a biological warfare agent at work. So I followed what was going on there at Wuhan, and eventually reached the conclusion that what we are dealing here is an offensive biological warfare agent that leaked out of the Wuhan biosafety level 4.
Hold on, stop. Let's back up. Now you're asking the rhetorical question at the beginning of this clip, why they don't bring this guy on? He seems to be marginalized.
Yeah.
Who can bring this guy on and panic the public?
I think he was marginalized before the Wuhan outbreak. Here's his full credits. Bachelor, and he's not a medical doctor, which makes it a little more interesting / challenging. Bachelor of Arts, University of Chicago, JD, magna cum laude from Harvard Law School, Master of Arts, Doctor of Philosophy, also from Harvard. So he is not a medical.
No, but he sounds like a very smart person.
Well, yes.
You get a JD from Harvard and magna cum laude, you're not no slouch.
But again, here he is saying stuff that, for whatever reason, including widespread panic, is not allowed on the M5M.
That leaked out of the Wuhan biosafety level 4 laboratory there. That has been DNA genetically engineered with gain of function properties that simply accelerates the DNA genetically engineering for a biowarfare agent in the first place. And as far as I can tell right now, Steve, just having read the public record, it does appear as if it's a combination of what's called a chimera, that basically you have the SARS, and we know that that facility has previously worked with SARS, and SARS leaked out of there at least twice before, combined with the flu virus, and it appears also combined with HIV that, leads to AIDS at a minimum.
Here's probably why it got marginalized. October 26, 2010, Boyle sharply criticized Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, stating that, quote, Obama was bought and paid for by Zionists. That's why Rahm Emanuel was his chief of staff until just recently when he decided to run for mayor of Chicago. Emanuel was bought and paid for to be put in there the same way Dennis Ross and the White House, Mrs. Clinton, sold her soul to the Zionists in New York to get elected as senator from New York. Yeah, I think that is what kind of gets you kicked off mainstream.
Yeah, that's not going to fly.
That doesn't work. So here's the second part of his analysis.
It's my opinion that, it's extremely dangerous. The Chinese government, the first case was December 1st. It had nothing at all to do with the food central there. That's just baloney and propaganda. Clearly, the Chinese government knew about it probably right around December 1. The first human-to-human transmission was December 15. So the Chinese government has been lying about it since then. This is a specially designated WHO research lab. Now imagine that, the WHO specially designating a biowarfare lab. So the WHO is in on this. These BSL-4 facilities are only good for research, developing, testing, and stockpiling biological warfare weapons.
So, of course, what we don't know, and I take this guy's word for it, it's no worse or better than anybody else's. No one really has information. The question is, did it really just leak out? If this was some flu or some virus, it appears, as many have now seen, that it appears to really affect Chinese and men in particular, and even was the Han province? Is that the
Han Chinese is an ethnic subculture of the Chinese. It's a genetic difference. The Han Chinese and the the way the other ones, the Tibetan Chinese, Mongols, and all the rest, they're all different in some little genetic way. And Han is the ones that are Chinese, so what we think of as Chinese.
And the Han, are they really only in the Wuhan region? Or are they everywhere?
No, Han's all of China.
It's all of China.
China is Han Chinese.
Okay. So
it's like that's the big problem. After playing that clip, you might as well play this one, which I think it brings some light to this clip. This is the dead Chinese doctor clip.
Yeah, exactly.
The Chinese doctor who warned the government about a possible coronavirus outbreak has died after contracting the virus while working at Wuhan Central Hospital. 34-year-old ophthalmologist Li Wenliang warned his fellow medical workers about coronavirus on December 30th. He was then investigated by police and accused of making false comments. His death has sparked a wave of anger and outrage in China, where the hashtag We Want Freedom of Speech went viral on Chinese social media site Weibo on Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Well, it would make sense if it really only attacks the Han Chinese. H-A-N, the Han Chinese. Because Trump doesn't seem overly worried. What we also are not hearing is people who are in the United States and other countries that have the virus. We have lots of Americans who are Chinese Americans, and I think many of the cases may be Chinese Americans and not necessarily Anglo-Saxon Americans or whatever the
they won't give the ethnic makeup of the woman who died, the first American who died, the 60-year-old woman. And they just won't give her name out, which would indicate whether she, I think, generally speaking, will give you some indication.
At the same time, on Thursday, not long after we did the show, Bloomberg came out with a report. U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping reaffirmed their commitment to implementing the Phase 1 trade deal signed between the two countries last month. You recall that I had put questions to their force majeure clause, which said, hey, if something happens and some freak of nature or something we can't help, then we can go back to the negotiating table. So that may have been what that was about. The two presidents agreed to continue extensive communication and cooperation between both sides. The White House said in a readout of the leaders' call on Friday. They also noted the great achievement of the recent United States-China Phase 1 trade deal and reaffirmed their commitment to its implementation. And if it really is something that does not affect many outside of Han Chinese DNA, Trump is in a fantastic position to put the screws to the Chinese and get anything we want, because I think that this is going to affect their economy and their output much more severely than expected. I mean,
yeah, but if there's that it affects us too, because like you said, the last show, you pointed out it's just-in-time nonsense.
Yes, exactly. So besides, I guess they got some auto industry, a lot of telecommunications, fiber optics, from what I understand, comes out of Wuhan. And lo and behold, what does Bill Barr do at, some think tank that he was speaking at earlier this week?
And other countries that do not want to put their economic fate in China's hands are not going to install Huawei's infrastructure. We have to have a market-ready alternative today. You need a system that will allow you to seamlessly migrate your installed 4G base to 5G. There have been some proposals that these concerns could be met by the United States aligning itself with Nokia and/or Ericsson through American ownership of a controlling stake, either directly or through a consortium of private American and allied companies. The main concern about these suppliers is that they have neither Huawei's scale nor the backing of a powerful country with a large embedded market like China. Putting our large market and financial muscle behind one or both of these firms would make it a far more formidable competitor and eliminate concerns over its staying power or their staying power. We and our closest allies certainly need to be actively considering this approach.
Pretty interesting words from the Attorney General. I mean,
it makes no sense.
Well, the only thing I can read into it is, hey, finally we've got our chance to get rid of those pesky Huawei dudes. Here's what we do. Hey, if you're interested in investing in Nokia or Ericsson, we'll back you. We'll put some money into your company. No worries. We need to have that. It seems like
he's right about that.
Yeah, but it seems like the timing is kind of, woo, let's do it now.
You know, there used to be a story going around. I heard this from at least two different sources, that the whole Huawei, and this also, by the way, was the way Sun Microsystems used to do business, but not not in such a sneaky way.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Huawei spent most of their time doing due diligence on where Ericsson was going to sell product.
Right.
And as soon as they'd follow the sales guys around for all practical purposes, and when the guys left, they'd go into the company and say, "What did Ericsson bid? We'll do it for 10%
we'll do it.
less."
Yes. Well, I just find it all very coincidental. The timing of it is obviously good for us in that regard. You know, we had the Commerce Secretary Wilbur, who said, well, we have to produce stuff here if they shut down. I think something's coming. I really do. They're not opening anytime soon.
Let's go back to analyzing the possibility. Now, why? First of all, let's go back to the virus itself. Now, there's another rumor that floated around about how it was like something developed or found or discovered or something in the Middle East.
Yes, Jordan specifically.
Now, is it possible that this is was maybe a bioweapon, but not developed by the Chinese? Because it makes zero sense to me that the Chinese would develop a bioweapon aimed at them.
No. If you recall, one of the first times we were talking about it, identified was the ACE2 marker, DNA marker. I don't know if I'm using the right terms, but it's ACE2. And that is prevalent in Asian, so Han Chinese. I'm not a DNA specialist, so I'm shooting from the hip. But also apparently in Ashkenazi. It's possible that it was initially some kind of either, I don't know about Jordan, but I would say maybe Saudi Arabia or some other not friend of Israel who set it up for them.
Wow, that's a good. Now we're getting there.
Yeah. Do you need a little theremin for that?
Back to the old days.
Yeah, you remember, this is why I said everybody on the 23andMe DNA report has Ashkenazi. You may want to be careful around coughing people. It could hurt you. So,
because it makes no sense to me that the Chinese are going to develop a bio. Maybe they had it and they were analyzing it, and there's just a sloppy operation. And one of the guys caught it and walked around town for a while at the market and wherever, and it started getting out. And then this other guy identified it, and they cracked down on him as fast as they could because the government knew what they were doing, and they didn't want word getting out.
Yes, possibly.
That's the only reason why would you call the police on this whistleblower the way they did, unless you knew it was going on. So they knew it was going on, even though they acted like they didn't. And now they got a problem because they have to. I don't think you can. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I can't imagine cordoning off 11 million people in the city of Wuhan and letting that and having that work for more than a week or two before people just start burning down the place.
Apparently now they filled up community centers and sports halls with beds, and this is what I've understood from virologists. This is, if you don't have a vaccine, pretty much the only thing you can do is put people together and wait for it to, quote, run its course, so herd immunity starts to take hold, and then it passes. So, this also isn't real. There's nothing being reported. This is the problem, because everyone's like, Trump, blah, blah. That's all that we hear here. So, I got to watch Sky and RT and Al Jazeera, and I tried to get a clip from the World Health Organization press conference, which literally they're like, okay, I'm going to do a press conference on the website. Click the raise my hand button or press *9 if you want to ask a question. And they had no statement. It was just questions you couldn't hear. Then there's a bunch of people who you almost could not understand, including the the chief of this meeting, I will read to you from the BBC. What they didn't even take a clip of it. It was so unclippable. What's his name here? Dr. Tedros said, I would like to speak briefly about the importance of facts, not fear. People must have access to accurate information to protect themselves and others. Misinformation, he says, at the World Health Organization, we're not just battling the virus, we're also battling the trolls and conspiracy theories that undermine our response. That's us. As a Guardian newspaper headline says,
would be us.
As a Guardian newspaper headline says today, misinformation on the coronavirus might be the most contagious thing about it. So, exactly. We really don't know anything. And all the World Health Organization keeps saying is, oh, good job, good job. And also, I'm so sorry I couldn't clip it. It was inaudible. They're the ones that contacted Facebook and Twitter and said, could you please remove stuff that is disinformation? That's how Zero Hedge got banned. The World Health Organization did that. So there's if you don't have any kind of information, and my goodness, how many times do we have to go through these epidemics, pandemics before they figure out how to communicate? So, yeah, this is what you get. You get conspiracy theories and questions.
Can you imagine what the conspiracy theories must be like in the city of Wuhan itself?
Oh, people must be freaking out, this poor people. Yeah, we got one of our producers is not in Wuhan. Professor Jones. Let me see. Where is he actually? I think he's in Shanghai, but he lives there. A few notes about what's happening in some Chinese cities. House-to-house welfare checks. I had a woman come to my apartment. He's in Shanghai. I had a woman come to my apartment complex, walking door to door, asking if people are sick or taking temperatures. I told her in Mandarin, we do not have a problem, and she smiled and went away. In Wenzhou, where I used to live, that's right, isn't it?
Smiled and went away.
In Wenzhou, where I used to live, a metropolitan area of about 10 million people has only 1,500 confirmed cases of coronavirus. But since February 3rd, the entire city is on lockdown. People not allowed to leave their house unless they have the pass. The travel pass is given per household. One person is allowed to leave the house once every 3 days. Let me repeat that. From a whole household, one person is allowed to leave the house once every 3 days. So my friend can go to the grocery store on Monday, but can't leave the house again until Thursday. The only exception is if you're going to the hospital. Many cities do not allow more than 2 people to be in proximity. A group of about 6 men were playing mahjong. They were all wearing masks. A cop came in, smashed the tables with a hammer. It was posted to WeChat. Undoubtedly, some other person reported them as, quote, congregating. This is a super snitch country. I have no idea in which city it was, but there are a few in addition to Wuhan, Hangzhou, and Wenzhou that have instituted a forced curfew and no association order. All schools have been closed since mid-January. The last 2 weeks were part of the regular Chinese New Year holiday, but kids will not go back to school until March 3rd at the earliest. Most of the expat teachers have left China before the holiday. Then another group left China in the last week of January. Subsequently, places like the Philippines, Taiwan, Australia have banned Chinese or people who are in China for the preceding 2 weeks. Just today, Thailand is refusing entry to allow anyone from China. Well, they're too busy killing people over there. Furthermore, many of my work colleagues cannot return to Shanghai anytime soon because so many flights have been canceled from the UK, Korea, Philippines, etc. I have access to a medical doctor in Wenzhou. He's from South Africa. He's conveyed that his hospital is not treating people with high doses vitamin C. They are not giving people vitamin D3. They are not giving selenium. They are not giving selenium, chromium, magnesium, or zinc. Instead, the standard protocol is just recycled antiviral drugs. Those drugs are simply a non-organic derivation of essential fatty acids like, this is a tough one for me, phosphatidyltelecline? Without the phosphorus. I don't know what that is.
Read on.
Lastly, we can walk around the streets of Shanghai with impunity. Most people are going out, even though most businesses are closed. Only things that are open are big box stores, grocery stores, bakeries, gas stations, and hospitals. The subway is running with literally no one on the train. Shanghai. All the tourist areas are closed. Museums, bars, bookstores. Banking is largely electronics. No effect there. The funny thing is watching people jog with paper-thin masks or even smoking with the mask on. That is all for now. Dr. Jones from Shanghai. So that's Shanghai. It's not even
a good report.
Yeah, it's a dynamite report.
We need another one of those reports.
Yeah, we need as many as we can get.
That is a good report because it does indicate that. Well, he brought up a couple of interesting points that there is a sense that this Chinese specific aspect of this, or Chinese targeted, because anybody could get this.
Yeah.
But Chinese targeted it's underlying that entire report.
Exactly.
People are sensing this, or they know this, or they already this.
There's got to be some partial truth to it, because it's just from almost day one we've seen. There's actual they look real. the publications of what's in it, they sure look pretty official. I don't know.
This story's going to go on for at least 2 months.
The question is, what will happen? The supply doesn't. I think Wuhan also manufactures a substantial amount of pharmaceuticals. Is that possible?
Anything's possible.
Right. No, I thought maybe we could get some shortages of things. I mean, it's not just steel and iPhones. There's other stuff that comes out of, and 5G.
Too much stuff.
Yeah. Well, this will be a good lesson for a lot of people. And that's it.
Everybody was a kung flu fighting.
There we are with our racist jingles, as always.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it. Well, onward to what's next on this. I got some crazy stuff.
Well, do you want a little review? Well, there's a couple
things. We got some impeachment stuff. We got debates. I've got some serious stuff which needs to be discussed, and nobody in the mainstream media is discussing it. You do get it here and there from AJ. I got it from.
You want to do that first? Let's do some serious stuff.
Yeah, I want to get the serious stuff out of the way because nobody knows what's going on there. All hell's breaking loose.
Yeah. Is this with the Russians? Are they involved with the Turks? Is there crap going on between them?
Well, here, let's listen. Let's start with this one. I got 3 clips.
Mm-hmm.
I have one from here's one from Al Jazeera, and this is all happening in Idlib.
Mm-hmm.
Syria mess, Idlib, AJ.
The United Nations has long warned that the last and most bloody chapter of Syria's brutal war could take place in Idlib. The Security Council have now been told that is happening.
We are witnessing the humanitarian catastrophe that the Secretary General has warned of. This is causing totally unacceptable human suffering and endangering international peace and security.
The bombing and shelling have forced hundreds of thousands more people to move in the attempt to find safety. We now estimate that 586,000 people have moved in the last 2 months. They are mostly children.
This emergency meeting was called by the US, France and the UK.
I think the worst nightmare on Idlib has come to pass.
Her US counterpart ended her speech with these words.
I want to close now by speaking directly to the Syrian people. Yes, these are dark days. Of that, there can be no doubt. But you are not alone and you are not forgotten.
But after 9 years of war, no one could blame the people of Idlib for feeling abandoned and betrayed by the world. The Security Council has not protected them. In fact, one permanent member is directly, militarily involved in the onslaught they're facing. James Bays, Al Jazeera, at the United Nations.
So I'm looking at Idlib, which is in a weird place. It's between Aleppo and Homs, which kind of rules out the traditional pipeline routes. What is the... Oh, okay, here we go. How Russia and Turkey are eyeing new deals on Idlib and Libya. Okay. Looks
Libya.
Like... Yeah, Idlib and Libya. Yeah, I think that maybe this is part of their Turk Stream pipe.
What the hell's going on in Libya that those two guys are getting involved?
Just look at them. These two gangsters, they're involved in anything and everything they can get their hands on. Okay.
Well, the situation with over 500,000 people displaced and mostly kids is just not acceptable. But it's not even played on Democracy Now!, these stories. This is like completely ever since Trump somehow, and I believe you have to give him some credit for this, got us out of that mess.
Yeah,
I think we still have people there, but generally speaking, I think we're out, and the Turks have somehow taken over, and they're fighting the Russians now. It's ridiculous. Let's play this second clip, which is Syria mess. This is IR.
Turkish President Erdogan said Turkey and Russia should resolve differences over the conflict in Syria's Idlib without anger, after a deadly flare-up in violence challenged the fragile cooperation between Moscow and Ankara. The two countries support opposing sides in Syria's nearly 9-year war. In a phone call on Tuesday, Putin and Erdogan highlighted the need to follow Russia-Turkey agreements on Idlib that envisage increasing cooperation to neutralize extremists, the Kremlin said. Turkey's report on the same phone call said that Erdogan told Putin that Turkey will use its self-defense rights in the event of another attack on Turkish military personnel in Syria. At the United Nations on Tuesday, Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called for an end to hostilities to keep the situation from getting out of control.
So the Russian Defense Ministry said that the Turkish troops were hit because of their failure to communicate with the Russian military?
It could be.
Yeah.
But the thing is, of course, Turkey thinks they got NATO behind them, and who knows what's going to happen.
And if they call Article 5, we're kind of obliged to go in and, gasp. Fight the Russians on behalf of the Turks?
That'll be fun. Very popular. And now the last one is this real screwball story, which is, again, making things even more complicated. This is the Syria mess with Israel involved.
So later in the week...
Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong one. This one.
We're learning that Israeli airstrikes in Syria may have prompted local air defenses that almost shot down a passenger jet. The plane was on its way from Tehran in Iran to the Syrian capital of Damascus on Thursday with 172 aboard. It was forced to make an emergency landing at a Russian military base in Syria. The Russian government announced the near miss only on Friday. Russia says the plane came under fire from Syrian air defenses who were responding to the Israeli airstrikes. And it comes only a month after the Ukrainian passenger plane that was accidentally shot down by Iran, killing everyone on board. Russia did not name the airline, but flight data shows it was a Syrian Sharm-Wings flight. Sharm was hit with US sanctions in 2016 for allegedly transporting pro-Assad fighters to Syria and sending weapons and equipment.
Oh, man. I don't even understand. How can Turkey still remain in the NATO? Didn't they buy all this Russian stuff? Didn't they buy the S-400 anti-aircraft missiles? Or
yeah. And then meanwhile, they're fighting Russia with Russia's gear. I mean, this is the strangest situation. It's not being covered at all.
Very, very crazy.
I mean, I'd like to see some real analysis here, and it's just like completely... It's hard to imagine it being under the radar after all the serious stuff. But there it is.
Yeah, it's baffling. Well, it's not important. I mean,
it's not about Trump. That's not important.
Oh, my God, man. And there's nothing you can watch in America that originates here. Even BBC America, it's all Trump. It's so such a disservice. I'd like to know more about this. This seems to be a little more than your typical proxy war. This seems to be something real that's going on. And we don't want any part of it.
It's like we don't even have to be involved, and the rubbleization continues.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
But
wow, look at these guys. They'll do it.
Who's going to go and rebuild? Do we still get to go in and rebuld? I don't think so.
When the rebuilding begins, you can call on Bechtel.
I've gotten several emails about the situation in Australia with the rain, and here's an example. Sir Ned, Knight of the Convict broadcasts. says, I remember a while ago there was some discussion about how once the rain stick gets used on one location, it stays there, and the power of the rain stick can build up over time. I don't think we actually discussed anything like that, but then he says, so while we appreciate the efforts of the rain stick in stopping the fires around Sydney, please use it somewhere else. It's been pissing down nonstop for 3 to 4 days. Everything is flooded. I have no power. Please make it stop. Dear Sir Ned, I quote, I believe it may be Nietzsche. The gods are most cruel when they grant our wishes. And I wish I could change it, but no, we
don't have a reverse rain stick.
There isn't, and
a drought stick.
I'm sorry, maybe it was those 3 extra shakes I gave when we did it, and I won't do that ever again.
Adam's fault.
I thought Australia would be able to handle it, tough, down under, Aussies. This is a knife, no, crying. So, of course, I have sympathy for what you're going through. I see the pictures, too. But at least you're not burning alive.
So we do have a story in this Thailand shooting. I got a PBS thing on that with an ISO.
Yeah, this is an
unresolved story.
Well, a couple of things. Wasn't there something last year that also happened in Thailand? There's some weird shootings that take place. Let's
play this Thailand shooting, and then I think you'll be amused by the ISO.
An army sergeant in Thailand killed at least 20 people and injured more than 30 others during a mass shooting today. Police say the man killed another soldier and a woman over a land dispute at a military base before driving to a shopping mall. He fired shots along the way and reportedly posted updates to his Facebook page. People in the multi-story mall about 150 miles northeast of Bangkok were trapped for hours. It was unclear how many were injured or killed at the mall. Shortly before midnight, police secured the building and more than 100 people were evacuated. The gunman reportedly had an assault rifle, but as of late today, there was no word on whether he had been captured.
Okay, what was the ISO?
Well, here's the end of show ISO suggestion.
That's not very nice. That's not a happy ISO ending. By the way, the ISO from the last show, people have been saying, "Oh, can you please post it?" I really want to get to be able to say it right. I want to say it right. It's the backup and the backup, the backup, the backup, the backup, the backup. That's the one everybody loves.
A backup and a backup to that backup and a backup to the backup to the backup.
That is exactly what they did at the Iowa caucus, or
a backup and a backup to that backup and a backup to the backup to the backup.
Son of a bitch, gun. You thought I was going to say son of a bitch, didn't you?
Okay. So we do have a little update. MSNBC went in full force. As far as I understand, the actual results still have not been published. This is now, 8 days, or this is 7 days, almost a week later. They've not been published.
Can I play this clip? Because yes, you're right, and I've come up with my own thesis on this. This is play this clip. This is a hanky-panky in Iowa plus Sanders.
In election news, Democratic National Committee Chair Tom Perez is calling for a recanvass of some of the voting precincts in Iowa, as the latest caucus results show Senator Bernie Sanders and South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg virtually tied, with 100% of the results now reported. Sanders is still leading in the popular vote by thousands, but Buttigieg maintains a 1/10 of a percentage point advantage in what's known as the state delegate equivalent race. But the New York Times is calling even these results into question after its investigation found the results released by the Iowa Democratic Party were, quote, riddled with inconsistencies and other flaws, unquote. On Thursday, Senator Sanders declared victory in Iowa. This is Sanders responding to a reporter's question when he had moved on to New Hampshire.
Mayor Pete's been declaring a win for days now. Why should people believe your victory speech over his?
Because I got 6,000 more votes. And from where I come, when you get 6,000 more votes, that's generally regarded to be the winner.
Latest polls show Senator Sanders is leading in New Hampshire, where 7 Democratic presidential candidates will take the stage for a debate tonight ahead of the Tuesday primary.
Yeah, it's exactly what we discussed, is that The numbers for the what we would call the popular vote were not even published. This was only about the delegate count. And some have surmised, and we may have even talked about it, this would be a good scapegoat to get people all fired up about getting rid of those pesky electoral college.
I think that's an element, but I think the real element being uncovered is if we look more and more at it, once they came up with the app, perhaps the app was honest and the app worked. but because the Iowa Democrats have been corrupt from the get-go, they're the ones who sidelined Bernie the last time. Bernie was irked about what the results were. And that's why Bernie put people in all the caucuses to really double-check their work. It's possible that the app had the right numbers and said, oh, my God, we can't have this because we want this guy to win, or we want that guy to win, or in the olden days, Hillary or whoever else it was. It's possible that the Iowa caucus system was just bad and corrupt, and the app proved it.
Here's an MSNBC report on the app. This is from Thursday, so it was on the last show day, so take that into account.
So we have...
Oops, here.
Well, it's incredible that after all the cybersecurity concerns and concerns about Russian interference and the threat of hacking, that the app has actually been leaked. We were able to get a copy of the app from one of the Iowa precinct managers and actually download it. I actually have a copy of it on this phone here, downloaded here in New York.
Whoa! You're so amazing.
And we sent it to analysts who found that the coding was rushed, that there was some design and technical considerations that were problematic, and yet still this app was rushed into use. The biggest issue is...
This is such a detailed report, isn't it?
While the core functionality of the very kind of simple, basic app looked to be okay, there was an coding issue on the back end, how that data was being transferred to the Iowa Democratic Party servers.
I mean, this is the big NBC News organization. They have so many resources. They can't tell us anything other than, well, it was rushed. It was rushed. How do you know if a developer rushed to put it together? Did you actually have the source code, or are you just looking at like some API that it's talking to? This is a very low-grade report.
That's the key issue. The other thing that we saw, because we got the copies of the email chain sent from the developers Shadow Inc. and the Iowa Democratic Party to these precinct chairs, giving them multiple layers of information, complicated instructions, asking a lot of the precinct chairs to do on their phones, on their Apple phones and their Android phones, and it just looks like a rush job and just poor deployment. And you can't forget that for all the consideration about cybersecurity issues, election is a lot more than just cybersecurity. We're talking about real people on the ground being asked to change settings on their phone, go into their phone and change it to allow these outside apps that the phone was telling them was not safe. You got to do that groundwork to train people in advance, and people are telling us that there just was not enough training.
Okay, so I think we can discount everything from this guy's report except for two pieces. One, it was about what was happening on the back end, which pretty much has, once the app sends the data, unless it never sent the data, then the shenanigans were on the back end. And I think the real on-the-ground trouble is an oversight, and a stupid one at that, that they probably did not have their predominantly Android app signed for the store, so you downloaded it not from the App Store, from the Google Play Store, whatever it is, download it from their server, and your Android phone, most people's phones, not the typical no-agenda dude named Ben phone, will say, are you sure you want to give permission to this app that is not officially sanctioned by Google? And people will freak out. So I think that's probably true, but I'm with you. This is bull crap. And the fact that NBC pushed this out as their technical report almost matches the insane notion that, the problems, the app was a problem, but it was really Trump.
So we have some brand new reporting we're scooping right here on NBC News about what went wrong in Iowa and why 100% of those caucus results still are not in. Here's the deal. We're learning more about why the phone lines used to report results were flooded Monday night. It wasn't just caucus organizers. The Iowa Democratic Party tells us there were also a bunch of Trump supporters apparently calling in, jamming things up with the Times.
Calling in, jamming things up. Great report.
Some hostile calls. So where might those supporters have gotten the idea or even the number itself? NBC is first to report this, apparently, from one of the most extreme far-right message boards on the internet. One we've talked about a lot on this show called 4chan.
I think she's confused with 8chan being the really far extreme right, but okay. 4chan. Oh, yeah, that's where it's happening.
There's reporting that Trump supporters on these 4chan sites were told to clog the lines, basically. What's up?
Yeah, so there was these posts that came out at like 10 o'clock, roughly, on Monday night that said, here's a phone number, clog the lines. Just stay on these lines. And
it was the number. It was the number for the people who were supposed to be calling in to report caucus results.
That's exactly right. And here's the deal. Like, it's easy to blame 4chan for this, but 4chan is going to 4chan, right?
Hey, John. 4chan is going to 4chan, right?
Oh, brother.
This is NBC News. This is NBC News.
And it was the number. It was the number for the people who were supposed to be calling in to report caucus results.
That's exactly right. And here's the deal. Like, it's easy to blame.
Also, the guy's
Here's the deal.
Yeah, by the way, I would like to say this is the only show in broadcast media today where you will not hear the phrase, here's the deal, or at the end of the day. And except for in the clips, this guy's clearly a Biden man, saying here's the deal, or he's been.
If you say here's the deal, that's only Biden says it constantly.
That's a Bidenism.
The number for the people who were supposed to be calling in to report caucus results.
That's exactly right. And here's the deal. Like, it's easy to blame 4chan for this, but 4chan is going to 4chan, right? They left a door. This is like a saloon door of bad cybersecurity. Just like it was wide open. So
a saloon door of cybersecurity.
People kept calling this number, and at least that's what they claim on 4chan. But now we have evidence from the party itself that said, look, Trump supporters were calling, people were calling and just hanging up.
Oh, I feel an end of the day coming.
These resembled like prank calls, basically. We're not sure if the idea started on 4chan, but it was definitely there on Monday night. There are posts to prove it, and we've backed it up with a lot of reporting.
And I think you said 4chan's going to 4chan. Saying that 4chan's going to try to mess with something big on election night, right, is like saying the ocean is wet and you can swim in it.
Oh, thanks. So now let's just push that out there. Let's get that going. Oh, 4chan, Trump supporters. 4chan's going to mess with election night. Oh, yeah, let's get y'all primed up for that. Shame on you, NBC News. Shame on you. But I think Poot actually set us up at the CNN town hall and told us, that he really also thinks this popular vote, it's probably not so good.
We have a responsibility to talk about what we believe in and to make the case for what we think is right when it's popular and when it's not. I know that some of my views on what we need to do as a country aren't popular. Frankly, I'm showing a level of respect for New Hampshire voters' expectation of my honesty when I share with them a view that might not be popular around here, that I think that the Electoral College has run its course, and in the future we ought to pick our presidents in a way that makes sure that the one who got the most votes actually gets to be president. But I say that because I think it's the right thing to do. And I think everybody, left, right, and center, ought to come into the public square making the case for what we think is right.
Okay, there's one other thing going on. This is going to be the number one, and the media is going to be behind it because they make more money. I've written about this, saying that the media will support getting rid of the Electoral College because
then the advertising makes more sense in states like California, New York, etc.
Yeah, so they'll make more money. But the thing you're going to start to hear, and I've started to hear it. I don't have any clips. I tried to find some. I hear it. It's in passing, and then I try to clip it. I don't get it. But it goes something like this: 18% of the public controls 51% of the Senate. How's that fair?
Yeah, I've heard this. This is a good one, and that's why Trump is still president. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, it doesn't matter when Clinton was president, you had the same situation and he got elected by the Electoral College. That's it's beside the point. But 18% of and then what they're saying is that states like Wyoming have 2 senators.
Right.
And they have very little population. Their population of Wyoming is less than the population of the Bay Area, yet they have 2 senators.
Oh, it's an outrage.
You say the same with Montana, some of these other sparsely populated states. They all have 2 senators because the country was set up that way for good reason, the same reason that the Electoral College was set up, to keep criminals out of the White House, and it worked.
Yes, Hillary is not president. You're right.
Hillary's not president.
It's part of a larger issue, which is, I think, pure elitism. Michael Bloomberg, this clip is from 2016, but it surfaced, of course, during this election cycle. He was at Oxford, and he was explaining some of the issues with the stupid American public, which he identifies by calling himself and the people in the room at Oxford the intelligentsia.
If you think about it, we, the intelligentsia, people who could make it into this room, we believe in a lot.
Let's just let that settle in for a second. What is the actual definition of the intelligentsia?
Well, it refers broadly, I think, to the more intelligent people that are highly educated and have some control over the society.
Here we go. The intelligentsia is a status class of educated people engaged in the complex mental labors that critique, guide, and lead in shaping the culture and politics of their society. As a status class, the intelligentsia includes artists, teachers, academics, writers, and the literary.
Yeah, John Legend.
If you think about it, we, the intelligentsia, people who could make it into this room, we believe in a lot of things in terms of equality and protecting individual rights that make no sense to the vast bulk of people. They're not opposed to you having some rights, but there's a fundamental disconnect between us believing the rights of the individual come first and the general belief around the world, I think it's fair to say, that the rights of society comes first. And so I don't know how many are familiar with the bathroom issue in the United States. Anybody know what I'm talking about? If you want to know, is somebody a good salesman, give them the job of going to the Midwest and picking a town and selling to that town the concept that some man wearing a dress should be in the locker room with their daughter. If you can sell that, you can sell anything. I mean, they just look at you and they say, what on earth are you talking about? And you say, well, this person identifies his or her gender as different than what's on their birth certificate. And they say, what do you mean? You're either born this or you're born that. And, you know, I will say in our prison system in New York City, we have to have the policy when you walk in, you know, drop your trousers, you go this way, you go that way. That's it, because you can't sit there and you can't mix things in a jail. That's a practical case of where you have to make a decision. But it's so many things that we are nuanced, and the social issues that we're very proud of achieving aren't believed by the vast bulk of the people.
I mean,
what?
Yeah.
So he's defending the wow.
But you see, the message is the people who can make it into this room, the intelligentsia at Oxford, we are enlightened enough to understand that we need to protect prisoners from being raped, but not children. I mean, that's the comparison he made, whether you believe it or not. I mean, it's like, well, in prison, it's a different situation. It's school, but it's a school. And stupid people, they're not enlightened enough.
They can't grasp it.
They just can't. I mean, that guy wants to be president. That's.
Can you imagine? Well, he's the one with the, you know, you shouldn't be drinking big sodas.
Yes.
I mean, he's a classic Nazi.
I think that's a timestamp right there. That's the opening of the show. People are like, oh, finally, they're going to say something nasty about Trump. Good. He is a classic.
That's a good clip. That's another clip that's floating. I mean, one I'm trying to promote. I think I have a bit. This is from the first debate. Let's see if I have it, if I can find it quickly. First debate This was the first debate. This was a NBC, and everybody stopped doing this after this first debate, because this is, I think, the killer. And I have a photo, which I'll put in the next newsletter, of the first debate where they asked this question, and everybody's hands goes up. And then when you start thinking about it logically, you realize it's crazy, but they keep it up. This is where they ask the question: how many here think that undocumented aliens should get free health care if we have a socialized system that you guys all want?
With a lot of you.
Wait, and one of them, Marianne and somebody else, lifted their hands up. Then they all lifted their hands up. Everybody said yes.
With a lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay. Let me start with you, Mayor Buttigieg. Why? Mayor Buttigieg, why?
Because our country is healthier when everybody is healthier. And remember, we're talking about something people are given a chance to buy into. In the same way that there are undocumented immigrants in my community who they pay sales taxes, they pay property taxes directly or indirectly. This is not about a handout. This is an insurance program. And we do ourselves no favors by having 11 million undocumented people in our country be unable to access health care. But of course, the real problem is we shouldn't have 11 million undocumented people with no pathway to citizenship. It makes no sense. And the American people agree on what to do. This is the crazy thing. If leadership consists of forming a consensus around a divisive issue, this White House has divided us around a consensus issue. The American people want a pathway to citizenship. They want protections for dreamers. We need to clean up the lawful immigration system, like how my father immigrated to this country. And as part of a compromise, we can do whatever common sense measures are needed at the border. But Washington can't deliver on something the American people want. What does that tell you about the system we're living in? It tells you it needs profound structural reform.
Vice President Biden, I believe you said that your health care plan would not cover undocumented immigrants. Could you explain your position?
I'm sorry, I beg your pardon.
I believe at the show of hands you did not raise your hand. Did you raise your hand?
No, I did.
I did. Sorry. So you said they would be covered under your plan, which is different than Obamacare.
Yes. But
Can you explain that change?
Yes. You cannot let, as the mayor said, you cannot let people who are sick, no matter where they come from, no matter what their status, go uncovered. You can't do that. It's just going to be taken care of, period. You have to. It's a humane thing to do. But here's the deal. The deal is that he's right about three things. Number one, they, in fact, contribute to the well-being of the country, but they also, for example, they've increased the lifespan of Social Security because they have a job, they're paying a Social Security tax.
What? Hold on a second. How do you contribute to the lifespan of Social Security if you're an undocumented worker with no Social Security number?
Oh, please. Moving on from Joe.
I mean, these guys. But here's the thing that always gets me, and this is going to bite him in the ass. There's all this hand raising. They're all in on this. Luckily, Klobuchar and Warren weren't in on this. Is where they had the two-parters. And the problem is that, okay, so I've got some horrible disease, and I can worm my way onto a flight to the United States on a travel visa.
Yeah.
And I just check myself into a hospital here and it gets paid for. What they're saying is that everybody from all over the world can come to the United States and get free medical care, no matter how sick or how undocumented they are. It's just crazy to say that.
It's I think it's worthwhile to read through Pete Buttigieg's bio once again. This is not really done. He's always positioned as, well, he's just the mayor from a very small town in Indiana. That's pretty much it. Now, the keeper grew up partially in these parts. And, it's a good school, Notre Dame. But it's, it's okay. It's not an Ivy League school. But this is Poot's roots. So from the Wikipedia, he's a graduate of Harvard College and Oxford University, where the intelligentsia assemble, attending the latter on a Rhodes Scholarship. It's always a fun one. 2007, 2010, he worked as a consultant at the management consulting firm McKinsey. This is well known. 2009 to 17, served as a naval intelligence officer in the United States Navy Reserve as a lieutenant. He was deployed to Afghanistan in 2014 for 7 months. Then he also worked on the political campaigns of Joe Donnelly and John Kerry. He served as the 32nd mayor of South Bend, Indiana. As we know, he still is. So his dad was had a 29-year tenured professor at Notre Dame, and apparently quite the lover of Marxism. So Pete is an elite.
Yeah, well, he's a total elite, and we should mention something to people out there who are looking for, little things to check off the box. Rhodes Scholar, the Rhodes Scholarship, it was developed by Cecil Rhodes, who was responsible for Rhodesia, which was this racist operation, but nobody wants to mention that part of it. And his whole thing in life was one world government.
Yep.
Cecil Rhodes was a big promoter of one world government. And if you get a Rhodes Scholar, you are going to be inoculated, brainwashed into every possible one world government scenario there is. All Rhodes Scholars are really anti-American one world government people. All of them come out that way.
Let's take a look at the list. We'll do it in reverse order. We'll start at the most recent one. It's a long list. I'm going to go. Let's see. Who do we have here? Oh, this is not even Ronan Farrow. He's a Rhodes Scholar. Let's see. Pete Buttigieg is there. Okay. I think Bill Clinton was a Rhodes Scholar, if I'm not.
I wonder how much indoctrination is the word I've been looking for. Indoctrination that Clinton had, because that was his stoner years.
Rachel Maddow is also a Rhodes Scholar, so she's an alum, so she and Pete should have a lot in common. I didn't realize that she was one of them. Bobby Jindal, Cory Booker, we knew that, Rhodes Scholar. Going down the list, if I see any other interesting names. I think just the fact that Rachel Maddow is Susan Rice, Graham, no, that's not a known name. Naomi Wolf.
These are all people indoctrinated to the idea of one world government, and they all tend to be egalitarians in their approach. This is the thing that came up earlier in the show, and why do we want to get rid of the Electoral College, and why do we have the caucuses the way they are? Egalitarianism, which is part of the Democrat ethos. You have their main thing, as we talked about on the show before, is egalitarianism and justice, or equality and justice, the way they put it. And the Republicans are freedom and liberty. And so the egalitarian mindset is that everybody's equal to an extreme. This is what's hurting the people in Sweden right now, because every immigrant is exactly the same as a Swede.
Yep, exactly.
And so if you're egalitarian in your approach to things, you can't have an electoral college, because it has to be one man, one vote.
Yes.
And that's which is egalitarian. The American system is not set up as an egalitarian system. It's a federalist system, and the reason for the Electoral College, again, is because the states are the ones that are equal, not the individuals in the country.
Exactly.
And so you do end up with 18% of the public controlling 51% of the Senate, but that's the way it was designed, because egalitarianism is bad.
Yeah, historically, we've seen that doesn't work out very well, but you wouldn't know it from listening to these candidates of the Democratic Party. They're all against the popular vote. They're all against the Electoral College. They all want the popular vote. And they keep referring to the United States.
The Constitution.
Yes. And they keep referring to the United States as a democracy. And they're just routing around the system and really lying. It's really, and I don't think it's good. I mean, we have a system. If you want to change it, that's fine, but don't try to sneak it in with lying about it and saying this is unfair. I mean, how many times I've heard someone on CNN or MSNBC say that the caucus system is inherently undemocratic. Well, that kind of ends there, doesn't it? I mean, what are you going to say to something like that? it's
well, it is.
That's the point of it. Exactly. I can't wait to talk about the debate and maybe a little bit of the State of the Union fallout. But first, I would like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in constitutional scholar, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning, all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to the trolls, who have been, they're all kind of like, oh, man, America's over. It's done. No. It's okay. We'll be fine. The Republic will get through this as well. But if you want to commiserate with the trolls, go to the troll room. It's noagendastream.com. Let me do a quick head count, see what we got in the troll room today. We've got, good one, almost 1,400. This is good. Hello, all you trolls. Nice to see you there. You can listen to this show live, multiple shows live. Darren O'Neill does the pre-stream an hour before we start live on the show. There's just I think every day we have a live show. That Wednesday night, Nick the Rat, and this podcast that run, and you can basically discover, but do it with trolls. If you want to find podcasts, you might as well have trolls to help you. NoAgendaStream.com. Also, a big in the morning to Mountain Jay, who I believe is female. I believe Mountain Jay is a woman. I saw her. I'm pretty sure she posted on NoAgendaSocial.com and forgave me for misgendering her. Brought us the artwork for episode 1214.
It is an odd name for a woman. You'd think that, I would think Twin Peaks would be a better name.
Oh, my goodness, Dvorak. Stanctuary was the title of the episode. Of course, how could it not be? And the art was... there wasn't a lot of good stuff, we thought, not stuff that really applied. This was, we kind of both said, yeah, this is a good one. And it was the blue, red, black, kind of the bumper stickers. We have Glitch, that would be the Democrat donkey. Then we have the red Republican elephant. So that, of course, is Russian hacking. And then No Agenda with our little microphone. It was just a good piece. And I started using the Overcast podcast app. Man, I have to say, and I want Apple to be successful. They've really done a lot for podcasting, but they should buy the Overcast app, in my opinion. That thing is so good. It really has all the pieces you want in a podcast app, including quick updating of the art. And the podcast from Apple app, sometimes it takes a while. Yeah, you have to refresh.
Yeah, why don't you just buy them?
I think they should.
Not like Apple hasn't got any money.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, so we invented, not invented here. We already have an app, Yeah. These companies like that will sometimes be reluctant to buy something that they already do, but not as well.
That's true. But they have, Marco's put in, Marco, the developer, he also put in something quite interesting. He put in a sound enhancer just recently. And it is kind of most of those podcasts that have crappy sound, it does kind of make it more listenable.
Huh.
Yeah, and
I wonder what he's doing there.
Some compression. I'm a big fan of giving the listener all the control. This is the part that a lot of people disagree on with me, but I like it. Like, fast forward, you should be able to chop stuff up, anything you want. Now, that you're going to miss beautiful things is up to you. But I like it. I think that's true interactivity, is that you can mess around with whatever you received. And that may be part of Apple's problem of not wanting to do everything. Or they want to control. Everyone wants control. Anyway.
Well, Apple traditionally has wanted control. That's the difference between the Mac and the PC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's thank a few people for show 12-15.
Yes, let's do this.
Craig, Knight of North to South, as our top donor with $500.
Right.
John and Adam, Knight North to South here, and I am now the biggest believer in the No Agenda karma. As you remember, 3 weeks ago, you gave karma to my horse Fast Enough.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the horse guy.
Yeah. Wait. Do we need to listen to the winning horse race again?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And my dog Yuki, pronounced Yuki. My horse went on to win the California Cup Derby. Oh, I guess maybe that was the California Derby.
Yes, that's the winning horse.
Well, they used to have the California Derby here at the local field that we have in the East Bay called Golden Gate Fields in Albany.
Mm-hmm.
And I can look down on the field where I am and watch horse racing.
Huh.
You see the horses going around and around.
Can you with your scope? Can you see the numbers? Can you actually see which horse is running?
I probably could. I'm not that interested.
Could you shoot a horse from where you are? I take one out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You could throw the race. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Now, so you watch all these races, and then you watch the California Derby, and it's like, what is the difference? This is not even like the same race. Huh. These horses that are at this level. So, if he won the California Derby, the horses at that level are so much faster than the average horses that run in all these races. It's not even close. It's almost frightening to watch. Well, so he has a fast horse.
Well, it's the horse, of course, is called Fast Enough. So and
that's fast enough. That means that this is the level horse that can play in the Kentucky Derby, the Belmont, and those other big races.
Oh, I'm feeling Triple Crown with the big No Agenda logo on this horse's butt. That's what I'm feeling. I'm all in on this. Now
that would be great.
A reminder: we don't do karmas for sports games or anything like that, but we felt this was okay. Since Craig Knight north to south.
He owns the horse.
He owns the horse. So I
suppose if somebody owned a football team, you help him out. Yeah. Anyway, he says his dog who had bone cancer had successful surgery to remove a bone in her foot instead of having to have her leg amputated.
Good.
She started chemo this last week and is doing great. Oh, man, that's a lot of money on a dog. He says needs my help again, or my help, your help. My horse, Fast Enough, is running tomorrow in the San Vicente Stakes at Santa Anita. He has to take on the big boys this time, including the 2-year. Okay, this may not have been the California Cup, may not be the California Derby. The 2-year-old champion and a Bob Baffert monster. This is inside baseball. I don't know what he's talking about.
Some kind of breeder, I guess.
Some trainer or something. Unfortunately, I won't even be able to watch the race live as the night north to the south will be on a plane north to Alaska. I would appreciate the karma you can give. Love the show as always. Yuki would appreciate Dogs Are People Too and F Cancer Jingles. Thanks, Craig. Night of the north to south. Okay.
So what he doesn't mention is this part of the purse that he's donating here? Did we get a piece of the purse?
I hope so.
All right, first let's do some karma for Fast Enough for tomorrow.
You've got karma.
All right, now for his doggy.
Dogs are people too.
You've got karma.
With a goat twist for Yuki. And thank you.
Onward to Chuck Boyce, Sir hashtag blessed. 333 from Yarmouth, Maine. Thank you for your courage. Can I please request a title change? My current title is Sir hashtag blessed and is anonymous. I have decided to go the freelance dude named Ben route. As a pants optional freelancer, I think it's time to drop the anonymous and change my title to Sir Chuck Boyce, Sir at Chuck Boyce of the data. If you could play the 2030 Omnipocalypse jingle, that would rock. Word, Chuck Boyce.
Word indeed. So he will be Sir at Chuck Boyce Jr. of the data. Okay, you consider that done, sir.
2030 Omnipocalypse.
There you go.
I don't even remember that.
Sadly, I do. I remember all this. Fletcher, man, I remember all these things. I was thinking about this last night, that I am very good at retrieving clips, but not all of yours, because when you don't name them yourself, it gets a little harder.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Sir JD is on the list. Baron of Silicon Valley, 3/20/20. Hey, Buzzkill Crackpot. I had a little Valley for Valley help supporting the best podcast in the universe from the Baron of Silicon Valley. Here's 3 hundos and a bit to help keep 2020 going. 3 requests. Answer 3 requests to go with it. 1, some goat karma. What? Some goat karma, just goat scream getting into college karma for our human resource. Okay, Dame Fineanonymous, who is getting ready to launch herself into the world. 2, please answer private email requests for connections to. Yeah, he needs to be hooked up with Dame Astrid.
It's done. The connection was made yesterday. Everyone's connected. It's done.
You're asking for something we already did. Running out of time to meet up, promote the cyber
I gotta say, Sir Mark is an MBE, member of the British Empire. And it's always fun, like, I forwarded to, I think, Astrid, and she forwarded it to Mark, and then Mark replied to Sir JD with me on it. It's like, I'm asking these world-renowned architects, member of the British Empire, to go hang out with all of our wonderful barons and knights. It's a cool dichotomy. Then actual member of the British Empire is with our peerage.
Well, they're also in our peerage, too.
Yeah, of course they are. Yes, they're, they're way up there.
They're way up
Viscount.
There. Anyway, promote the cyber meetup during RSA conference in San Francisco on Sunday, February 23rd at 3:33 p.m. at Chesty's Bar in the Marines Memorial Club.
Oh, okay.
Details on No Agenda meetups. Keep up the great work, Sir J.D. Baron of Silicon Valley, from the future.
Konnichiwa.
From the future. Konnichiwa.
You've got karma.
Yeah, let us know how your hookup went with Sir Mark and Dame Astrid.
Anonymous in Boulevard, Texas, 23456. Thank you, Guardians of Reality.
Oh, thank you, Anonymous from Boulevard.
Boulevard. Joel Tucker in Largo, Florida, 22222 in the morning. Too many things have been happening in my favor, and I was wondering why I've been having such good fortune. It finally occurred to me that it was the karma sent my way from the last donation, and to be honest, I think it came back to me 3x in my own attempt at living an OTG lifestyle. I'm trying to convert a school bus into my new home.
Classic. That's a classic look.
Yeah, there you go. This week, I'm undertaking the project of raising the roof to the bus, and I would like to request some house building karma. Thank you for this great content that leaves me wondering every Tuesday. Is it one of those Thursdays yet? Okay. Nice.
If you're new to the
show, and I hope I sent this email to the right spot. Yes, you did.
If you're new to the program, you're hearing this for the first time, these donation segments, it's okay. If you feel nauseous, just look at the ground. The spinning will go away. It takes a little bit to get used to all the things we're talking about. House building karma for you, sir.
You've got karma.
Onward to Brian Tucker coming in with $211.11 from Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. In the morning, John and Adam, self-proclaimed douchebag Brian from the December 3rd, 2019 Kitchener, Ontario, Scandinavian No Agenda meetup here. I had a great time at the meetup. It was like a party. Please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
Before attending the meetup, I did some rough calculations to figure out how much I had donated to the BPITU and realized that I was very close to knighthood. I started listening to No Agenda at some point in 2009. I don't remember exactly when. It was in the middle of the H1N1 swine flu hysteria.
Okay. Yeah.
I started on the 11/11 monthly donation in mid-2012 with my January 2020 monthly. I finally reached knighthood entirely on 11/11 donations. LGY. I was also skeptical about the M5M bullcrap, and your level-headed analysis and humor are much-needed voices of reason amongst the media overreactions. Please knight me a Sir Baron, the slow and steady knight. Is he on the list?
Sir Brian.
Sir Brian, sorry. What did I say? Sir Baron.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to the knighting and producership, it's also my 47th birthday on Tuesday, February 11th. Hence the 2/11/11 producer donation, 2/11 birthday date smashed into my regular 11/11, which would be actually 2/22/11. But that's okay. Let's add me to the birthday list. Jingle requests. I would like an F cancer for Abigail, the 7-year-old daughter of family friends. Also, please send along a Karma goat variety for myself and the entire No Agenda community. Thank you for your courage and passion in helping to keep amygdalas healthy. I'm looking forward to Adam's upcoming appearance on JRE. Thanks, Brian Tucker, a.k.a. Sir Baron. Sir Brian is slow and steady. I don't know if I say Baron.
Thank you very much. And yes, the appearance is booked March 3rd, Tuesday, March 3rd. Is that Super Tuesday?
Is it?
I don't know.
It might just Super
It
Tuesday.
will be now. It will be now. I'll be on Joe Rogan Experience. That's right. Very excited about it.
You've got karma.
That's for Abigail.
Sir J, the medical examiner, $202.02. ITM, John and Adam. First of all, sorry for the Don Quixote 3-volume note. I have listened for too long to not have contributed before, so please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
I have signed up for a monthly donation so my douche bag does not fill up as fast. The magic numbers last Sunday worked.
Oh.
And after a long hunting season with no luck, I got a buck. After having I always like to find some local hunters because you can't really eat all the meat. And I don't mind having a couple of steaks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after having such good fortune and listening to the show on my drive home from Alabama, I knew it had to be in some way related to the date. I would like to call out my best friend, Jojo Kokomo, who hit me in the mouth as a douchebag. I can also please give him some Nancy Jobs karma and some oral surgery boards karma for his wife. Okay. I would like to, and with a Baron Shakalaka.
Boom
Hillary.
What are you with Barons today? It's Boom Shakalaka.
I don't know why I keep saying Baron.
Well, you're saying Baron a lot.
I'm seeing it. My eyeball is my
now you're going to be a victim because you have an eyeball problem?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm a victim. No pity, you're heartless.
I am, totally.
With a boom shakalaka, Hillary, don't eat me. That's true. Thanks for the infotainment.
Should be infotainment, but okay.
It's not really infotainment.
No, it's infotainment.
Dr. J, the medical examiner.
Thank you, Dr. J. Yes, of course, we have all of that. Did he want, was a Nancy Jobs karma. Okay, here we go.
Boom shakalaka. Boom shakalaka. Eat me, Hillary Clinton.
That's true.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And next, $200 from Bellingham, Washington. We have Jenna Barron D'Amico, $200. ITM, John and Adam, writing in from upstate Washington here. I'd like to use a donation to wish a very happy 34th birthday on 2/11 to my smoking hot boyfriend, Sir Ryan the Refiner. He hit me in the mouth over 5 years ago, and regular discussion of the show since then has helped us overcome the crazy people in our lives in Washington State. Jobs karma for all, and keep on chooching with the great analysis. Thanks, Jenna.
You're welcome, Jenna. And so happy that it works for families and for couples. It's fantastic.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
All right, this next one is a $200 donation, and it came in as not this, what Eric put it. It's actually twice. So it just came in an envelope. It was a check, no note, no nothing, except it said red 331, red 331. So I assume that means something to somebody.
It's some kind of code, clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was red 331, red 331. And no note, no anything, $200. Thank you very much, red 331. Red 331.
Okay, that's it. That's good.
That's it. It was good.
Oh, that's it? That's it.
That's our producers and executive producers for show 1215. I want to thank each and every one of them for all their thoughts, and this really helps quite a bit.
It does. Thank you. It's always good to have support on a Sunday, which is the second Thursday of our week. And these credits that you now have are real credits. You can use them anywhere credits are recognized. We have associate executive producer for $200 and above, and up $300 and above is the executive producer. Put it on your LinkedIn, put it on your resume. It always results in people asking questions, which you can then, of course, answer any way you want. Let's say, oh, yeah, those guys, yeah, he's going to be on Joe Rogan. Say that. It sounds impressive, I think. And it helps the show, which is part of our value for value system. We'll be thanking more people in the second segment, but of course, we'd like you to support us for our next show, which will be Thursday. To participate in the Value for Value Network, go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
And you know that you are officially part of the No Agenda Intelligentsia.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth. Order!
Yay! Shut up, slave!
I had one comment. I think you even mentioned it, but now the president is saying, everyone's saying, well, if the Democrats can't even tally up votes, how can they run the economy? How can they run healthcare? And we have such short memories. Can I remind everyone of the Obamacare website debacle? How long was that thing delayed in launch? Months and months. How much did it cost? Like $700 million. I mean, it wasn't just a website. To be fair, it was connecting to legacy systems. But that is exactly the debacle that is not exclusive to Democrats. It's when government gets into these things. They have no business, or they just don't have the knowledge, the culture. And so instead of saying, oh, you want these people to run the economy or healthcare? How about self-driving cars, drones, facial recognition? You want them to run that? That's the question I have. Not anything else. Keep it out. They don't understand it, and it's not just Democrats. But government in general, I think, is not currently qualified to run these types of things.
Okay, you made your point, but it's time for the debates.
Okay.
No, so the debates went on. They were terrible. It was a little lively at the beginning. They got, Biden, apparently they doped him up enough that his eyeball didn't explode.
At one point, I think Steyer was talking, and Joe turns around, has his back to the audience, and snorts something.
I missed this.
Yeah, it's in a wide shot. Now you can't. It may have been a nasal stick, whatever it was. There was doping on the field. I'm telling you. And he turns his back entirely, and his hands are up to his nose. So I don't know what he was snorting.
Well, in the olden days, in the 70s, when the drug cocaine was a big deal because it got the cover, I think it was Man of the Year on Time magazine, and probably the usage of it was less than it is today.
Mm-hmm.
There was an old trick of getting these. They used to have this Vicks.
The Vicks, they still have. And those Vicks things are actually addictive by themselves.
Yeah, a little inhaler of some sort. And people would load them up with powder.
Yeah.
And then they'd use that.
Yes.
And maybe that's what he had. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well,
but
it was odd. It was just odd.
The whole thing was odd.
The ratings.
I got four clips, but I have a kicker that goes before one of them.
If you're interested in the ratings...
of course,
just under 7 million people watched. It was ABC, so they always get more than anything else. I'm actually surprised. It was higher than I would have expected. But I think that's also, considering it's a Friday night, that's the entire activated political audience in the United States. It's probably that. All the people yelling on Twitter, it's probably them that watch this. I think that's a good chance that the real active, politically active audience in the United States is about 6-7 million.
Yeah.
Not much more.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah. For all the noise, it's a very small percentage of the country.
So let's do a few things here. You definitely had Bernie going on with it. Here's Bernie's impeachment rant. I thought was good.
We sat for 2 weeks listening to the impeachment process. And here's what I think the horror and the danger of what happened was: not only the acquittal of Trump, who in fact committed impeachable offenses and obstructed Congress, it is the precedent that it set. The precedent that it set. And what that precedent is about now is, in the future, you're going to have presidents who say, hey, Governor, you want highway money? You better support me, or you're not going to get it, because I am the president. I can do anything I want. Hey, Congress, you want to investigate me? Don't be ridiculous. Who cares about the Congress? Who cares about the separation of powers? Who cares about the Constitution of the president? I'm the president of the United States. I have all of the power.
I love that bit that he did there.
By the way, presidents do that to the governors. They say, hey, you're not to get any support from your state. I'm not giving you any highway money. They constantly do that crap.
Do you? No, I'll do it in a minute. It's okay. Yes. Keep going. I thought that was a good line, and actually that should have been a possible ISO. I didn't make it either.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a good
you're
ISO.
Right. Well, because I like my ISO so much, I think. Anyway, before we play, this is another one that was good. But before we play the other ones, I want to play this Bill Maher clip. He had Bannon on.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, Bannon.
It wasn't very good. It was just Bannon talking over him, and then the audience booing him. But this part I wanted to play before I play the next debate clip.
We've seen this in other countries. When you talk about people like they're scum and they're evil, we've seen it in Rwanda, cockroaches. We've seen it in Germany, vermin. You don't think that when you talk about people like that, your side, the people who hear those words, you don't think eventually it translates into action? They see people on our side as less than worth...
No, absolutely not.
Wow. How about literally Hitler, Nazis? Am I missing something?
It goes on and on, of course. Yeah, but the way Morris sees it, no, his side's fine. So let's listen to the debate Steyer doing his name calling.
But the Republicans have rolled over. They've had a sham trial. They've refused to have witnesses. They've covered up the truth for the American people. And it doesn't matter anymore that he's a crook, and he's always been a crook, and he always will be a crook. Right now, what we have to do is we have to beat him in November. And we have to beat him because he's incompetent and bad for the American people. And that's the case we have to make now. Is he a crook? I knew that 2 years ago. Is he going to be more of a crook now that he believes he can get away with anything? Of course he is.
Of course.
It's unhinged, that guy.
There was a lot of... Well, what I noticed is... it started off kind of slow. I mean, if you start with Joe, he always sets the pace, and Joe was in kind of third gear of a 7-speed transmission, and so it kind of slowly starts getting up there, and then I think it was probably Steyer who first poured the gas on. And, then everyone's like, maybe that's where we go. Maybe we kind of like do like a little Trump, a little yelling and make it loud. And then Bernie got louder. And then everyone got a little bit louder, except for my favorite, of course, Amy Klobuchar. And I think it really missed the mark, because all I heard, except for a few exceptions, was how shit everything is. Everything is shit. It's horrible. This is no good. I mean,
These guys are depressives.
I wake up and I'm part of the most racist system in the world, in all of history. And in fact, I'm responsible for it. All of these things. And I'm going to die. I won't be able to afford anything. I'm going to die of poverty, hunger, sickness. There was not almost a sparkling light not to be found amongst anything that anyone said, and it was so repetitive.
Well, let's listen to this is Klobuchar and her bogus. Oh, by the way, this is Well, no, let's play the Biden to Klobuchar first, and I want to play the other one because I have a follow-up to it.
But here's the deal. Whomever the nominee is, the president's going to make up lies about. He thinks he has free reign right now. One of the things that I think is really important is we have to be authentic with the American people about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And by the way, Colonel Vindman got thrown out of the White House today, walked out. I think we should, and at the same time, he should be pinning a medal on Vindman and not on Rush Limbaugh. And I think what we should be doing now, I think we should all stand and give Colonel Vindman a show of how much we supported him. Stand up and clap for Vindman. Get up there. Who we are. That's who we are. We are not what Trump is. This is who we are. That's who we are.
Thank you, Vice President Biden.
That's who we are.
The Democratic Party's last presidential nominee, Hillary Clinton, has criticized Senator Bernie Sanders' track record in the Senate.
I'm sure we were able to hear that question.
Okay, sure. The Democratic Party's last presidential nominee, Hillary Clinton, has criticized Senator Bernie Sanders' record in the Senate, saying nobody likes him, nobody wants to work with him, he got nothing done. Senator Klobuchar, you serve with Senator Sanders in the Senate. Is he going to be able to get the support? Not if you like him, but is he going to be able to get the support that he needs from Republicans?
Okay. I like Bernie just fine. We actually have worked together on a number of things, including pharmaceuticals. We actually had a vote late at night one time, Klobuchar-Sanders amendment, to bring in less...
No.
It was not. To bring in less expensive drugs from other countries, since in this great state of New Hampshire, like in Minnesota and Vermont, we can see Canada from our porch. And we ended up getting, I think, 14 Republican votes. And they might not have noticed what was happening late at night, but we got those.
All right. I'd like to say something about the Vindman part. This is your next article of impeachment. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, his brother, who was a problem, but they'll find out soon enough, and Sonderman. Friday night massacre. This is the next articles of impeachment. The media is already setting it up. It's wall to wall. Fallout, whistleblowers retaliated against, witnesses. Woo. You watch. This is the next article of impeachment. It's coming.
Well, it is definitely coming.
And it's going to be this. It's going to be abuse of power for firing these guys from the National Security Council.
Vindman didn't lose his job. He just got back
from
to
the
where
National Security Council. Removed from the National Security Council.
Yeah, well, they've been trying to cut it down anyway.
You don't have to justify it to me. It's totally stupid. The whole thing is dumb, but that's what they're going to waste our time with next. It's going to be about that, and then everyone's going to want the brother to show up, the twin brother, but we can't have that because he's not really just a National Security Council guy. He's a hedge fund guy with big fines for shady business dealings with Eastern Bloc countries. So, waste. Meanwhile, people in China are dying. Who cares?
So I got this last clip. Yeah, well, in
Syria. Who cares?
Let's go. Here's Klobuchar, and then she makes this assertion, which I did some research into.
Taking on a president, if you want to talk about being tough enough to take him on, taking on a president that literally went down to Mar-a-Lago after he signed that Republican tax bill and looked at all his friends and said, you just got a lot richer. That is Exhibit A for those carpenters in Pennsylvania.
Did he do it?
No, there's no evidence of this.
Well,
this is a thing that was this was a big story about when that tax plan was put. I think I had a clip that was one of them, and it gets it in there. You see, there's a tax plan clip. Tax cut bullshit 2017. Play that.
He's also touting the passage of his tax cut legislation, but it's what he reportedly told guests at his Florida club that is raising some eyebrows.
I predict that Santa will bring you building blocks.
President Trump's night before Christmas was full of...
What did he say there in that little snippet?
nothing to do with you're going to get richer. It was just it was a whipsaw. And the report itself, he started over. He says reportedly. This was a CBS planted story.
Oh, of course. I will start it over. I want to hear the report.
He's also touting the passage of his tax cut legislation, but it's what he reportedly told guests at his Florida club that is raising some eyebrows.
I predict that Santa will bring you building blocks.
So they just threw that in there, and you connect it in your brain, so it's almost as if you heard him say something, but he said something else. But he
said Santa will be bringing building blocks. This is before Christmas.
Okay.
President Trump's night before Christmas was full of good cheer in front of the cameras. He and First Lady Melania took calls from children to give updates on Santa Claus from Trump's luxury Florida resort, Mar-a-Lago.
Okay, take care of yourself, and Santa's going to treat you well.
He also sent season's greetings to members of the military stationed overseas.
Your families have been tremendous, always underappreciated, the military families.
Let me guess. The report doesn't actually include the line, you're all a bit richer now. I guess that's not in the report.
You're never going to hear Trump say it, and he denied saying it. It was just as all reportedly. It all came from a CBS story where somebody said he said it, who was supposedly at a table nearby, and then I guess he told the reporter, it's bull crap.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We don't care. You got the list of lies that Trump does, but these aren't lies.
That's interesting you bring that up, because I went back to it to get some new ones to talk about on the show. They have not reported any new lies. It's stuck at 1,624 lies.
He's lying all the time.
January 20th, and they're not updating it. I'm very disappointed.
He lies every day.
I wanted to read a new one for you, but it's all the same. I'm sorry, 16,200. Yeah, 16,241. The last update was January 18th. That's it. So.
Well, so Amy's basically lying here. I was thinking about this because Amy had a couple of good bits. She says she'd always point to herself when she wanted to say who could be a better president or who could be the one that could beat Trump.
Yeah.
If she actually came out and with a little more aggression and said, look, these guys are no good. I'm the one that can beat Trump. These are all a bunch of old white men. What except for Yang, and who knows what he doesn't even have any experience. I'm the one, and she should go on and brag. And I'm not saying she can't do this, of course. She should brag about her education. She's the smartest one up there, technically.
I think what connected with some voters, and certainly some in the media, which I will play for you, was this end of kind of her pitch. And she compared herself to FDR.
There's an old story of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and when he died, his body was put on a train and went up across America. And there was a guy standing by those tracks along with so many Americans, and he had his hat on his chest and he was sobbing. And a reporter said, "Sir, did you know the president?" And the guy says, "No, I didn't know the president, but he knew me. He knew me." And I will tell you this, there is a complete lack of empathy in this guy in the White House right now. And I will bring that to you. If you have trouble stretching your paycheck to pay for that rent, I know you, and I will fight for you. If you have trouble deciding if you're going to pay for your child care or your long-term care, I know you, and I will fight for you. If you have trouble figuring out if you're going to fill your refrigerator or fill your prescription drug, I know you, and I will fight for you. I do not have the biggest name up on this stage. I don't have the biggest bank account. I'm not a political newcomer with no record, but I have a record of fighting for people. I'm asking you to join us at amyklobuchar.com. I'm asking you to believe that someone who totally believes in America can win this. Because if you are tired of the extremes in our politics and the noise and the nonsense, you have a home with me. Please, New Hampshire, I would love your vote, and I would love the vote of America. Thank you.
So I think that was very good for the audience at hand. She totally distanced herself from the other people on the stage. I'm not the most famous one. I don't have the biggest bank account. I'm not a newcomer with no experience. F you, Mayo Pete. But I feel you. And you know who felt Amy? You know who really felt Amy? Chris Matthews from MSNBC was all jitty about it.
I thought Klobuchar was wonderful. I've never seen her this good. I think she showed in the last week audacity. What you want to see from a politician is audacity, spontaneity. Don't have it on the damn script. Be somebody home with the lights on, somebody who's there, a human being. And that's how she came across tonight. She never raised her voice. She was confident. She looked, I'm sorry, it's weird to say this, she seemed like a president tonight.
Woo! An endorsement from Chris Matthews, who went unhinged, by the way, over Bernie. Unhinged. I got to play this for you. And it totally solidifies the theory that a lot of older people in politics, in the country in general, and certainly in the media, are still traumatized by the Cold War, by the Russians, by communism. You know, how old is Chris Matthews? He's got to be in the mid to late 70s. So
I think he says, it's like 70, 72 maybe.
But listen to what he does when it comes to Bernie.
I have my own views of the word socialist, and I'll be glad to share them with you in private. And they go back to the early 1950s. I have an attitude about them. I remember the Cold War. I have an attitude towards Castro. I believe if Castro and the Reds had won the Cold War, there would have been executions in Central Park, and I might have been one of the ones getting executed. And certain other people would be there cheering, okay? So I have a problem with people who took the other side. I don't know who Bernie supports over these years. I don't know what he means by social. One week it's Denmark. We're going to be like Denmark. Okay, that's harmless. That's basically a capitalist country with a lot of good social welfare programs. Denmark is harmless.
It's pretty clearly in the Denmark category, yeah.
Are you sure? How do you know? Did he tell you that?
Well, I mean, that's what he says, and that's what his agenda calls for, right?
Yeah.
He's not calling for any...
Let's see. Let's figure that one out.
But we haven't seen a campaign yet where video of him praising the other version,
right,
which is Castro, has been used.
Well, but
it will be used.
That's a question
of how that plays.
Of how what the effect that has.
Well, what does he think of Castro? That's a great question. What did you think of Fidel Ismo? We all thought he was great when he first. I think he was cheering like mad for him when he first went in, and then he became a communist and started shooting every one of his enemies.
Okay, hold those thoughts on the Cuban Revolution. I have to go back to the spin room and Democratic presidential candidate.
I love how the vasectomy boy there jumps in like, okay, well, it's not really the Cuban Revolution anymore. Shut up, man. We're going to do something else. Okay, boomer. But basically, this was a pro-Trump rant. Trump should take this, should steal this and use that. That was unhinged, man.
It was funny.
Yeah.
It was a good clip.
Wow.
I do have one clip I want to play because I played the switchback on that tax thing and the fact that Trump supposedly said something at Mar-a-Lago, which is bullcrap. We have one of our producers is a major tax attorney, and some time back when this tax law was passed, read a note from him, and I can attest to this, is that people who the upper classes that are going to supposedly getting the benefits of this tax relief got no benefits because they put a cap on tax crossovers. In other words, property tax and all the rest of it. It had a limit. And many people who are, especially the billionaire class, they have tons of property that they would write off the taxes. Now they can't do that. They end up having to pay more.
That was so
this is bull crap.
Yeah, it was the anonymous gay accountant.
Yeah, famous locally.
Yes, and in addition to that, and of course the jury is still out, we'll see, but one of the biggest tax cuts, which is like a 10-year program, is the opportunity zones. And, we've looked into that extensively, how it works. You have capital gains from capital gains, and if you invest it into opportunity zones, then in 10 years, you can take it all out tax-free. So it's kind of a deferred tax advantage, but in the meantime, it's supposed to put money to work in underserved areas for 10 years. Now, the allocation of that, I think, is up to states, and states can delegate that down. So some of it will get used improperly. But in Austin, there's 50 or 60 opportunity zones, and it's being built. Now, will it ultimately help gentrify these now poorer neighborhoods? Probably. But it was, in effect, a reinvestment into the country. And, no one ever defines it. It's all, Apple did repatriate a lot of money. So there was some good things going on there. And as you can see, what it didn't do is it didn't really screw anybody. In fact, if anything, it proves their point that modern monetary theory kind of works. Print whatever you want. It doesn't make a difference. Everything keeps going up.
We'll see how long that goes on. Yeah. Now, I do have one more clip. Yeah, it works for a while. It may work forever. Now that if you look at the money as something other than money, I got this clip because I had to go back and get this clip. This was after the Trump State of the Union speech, and it was Yamiche Alcindor on PBS NewsHour, and she dropped this little ditty in there because he was talking about immigrants, and it's a rewrite, which I think it was always intended to be. Just listen to this Yamiche clip from PBS.
And quick, Mish, to you, you referred in your report to what's been referred to as either misleading or inaccurate statements the president made during the State of the Union.
That's right. The president has been someone who has not shied away from bending the truth if it suits his political will. And this speech was no different. He talked about a lot of different things that were misleading, including the fact that immigrants were committing a lot of crimes. Study after study shows that undocumented immigrants do not commit more crimes than American citizens.
I think that is wrong. I think.
Fact check false.
No. He was talking specifically. Well, I don't know. You tell me what you were thinking.
Well,
while
the
I set
thing
my
that
mind
gets me
straight.
is that this meme showed up a number of years ago, right after Trump first came down the escalator, and the meme was that immigrants don't commit as much crime as American citizens.
Right, but that's not the same as illegal immigrants.
Yes, that's the
point. Difference. That's the difference.
She said undocumented, meaning illegal aliens who are committing a crime even by being here.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way that can even be possible. But the meme was first immigrants, and it was used to trick people into associating immigrants with undocumented immigrants or illegal aliens, yes. Which they took that term out of the lexicon because you can't say illegal aliens. People can't be illegal.
Right.
And so you change it to undocumented immigrants. But then, so the idea was to make the association in your brain.
Yes.
But never to really say the association, just say immigrants.
And she actually said it incorrectly here.
She said it incorrectly because the association has been so finalized that she can get away with it. I never saw anybody correct her on this. It wasn't on the next day show. There was no mea culpa. No, now that's the way they're going to say it. And it's bull crap. It's total bull crap, and she should have been called out for it. Yeah, I didn't hear anybody say anything during this little interview. I didn't see Judy correct her.
Yeah, I think you made your point.
Yeah, I know. I went off. You could have put a little rant thing at the end.
Oh, I could have. Damn it. Case in point, when I set up my whole Linux environment and I re-implemented all my filters, there was one, of course, stuff that I changed or started anew. Then if someone was in my bounce file, which pretty much deletes the email and sends a reply saying, no, I'm still not reading your email, you're deleted. So this guy got back through Ed Z in Texas. And he sends form letters because even the font is different. He sends it to everybody. But I just want to read it to you. Trump is not Hitler. But when an American president addressing those mass rallies signals that all honest journalists, all Mexican Americans, all non-Christians, all Californians, and in fact all voters for the Democratic Party are disloyal enemies of the state, he doesn't even have to spell it out, nor use the words in the language of his own old relatives from the old country when he echoes the sentiments which those who hope for a new Hitler are waiting to hear. Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer. When I was small and my aunt from the old country told me to do everything I could to keep Hitler from gaining even one posthumous victory, I had no idea what she was talking about. I guess I had to be shown. What moves you? Regards, your pals, Ed and all the free Texans. So that's the kind of shit that people take away from it. That's how far it goes. It's sad. That's an amygdala close to rupturing right there. Very sad.
Now, this guy, so this is some guy that you've gotten spam from, and you've tried to block him.
It's not spam. He targets me, and I blocked him. But then when I reset all my filters and was rebuilding my mail, he came through again with one of his notes. So I wanted to share it. That's the kind of bull crap that people actually believe.
Yeah,
there's no evidence. There's no evidence of it. Now, you already went to the State of the Union stuff. I wanted to go back to the debate for 1 second. Two strategies that I want us to keep. So a couple strategies. Amy is clearly going for the I get you, I know you, you know me, we are one.
Yeah, it's weak.
Yeah.
Weak.
Well, we know what Bernie's going for. Pete, I'm just not sure. He is clearly an intelligence asset. I mean, he worked for intelligence. He's very similar to Barack Obama. In fact, I caught a little bit of the opening of Saturday Night Live last night where they had hashtag white Obama for Pete. I thought that was very funny. Elizabeth Warren, she understands that no one can win the Democrat vote without the ADOS bloc, voting bloc, the American descendants of slavery, but she's going to pitch it.
You know, I'm glad to stand on this stage with my fellow Democrats who talk about how important the black community is, at least at election time. Year after year after year, election after election after election, Democrats go to people in the black community and say, boy, we really care about these issues. Racism is terrible. We all want to do something. And then somehow the problem just seems to keep getting worse. Well, I think it's time we have real concrete plans that are going to make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, which is totally empty because she doesn't have a plan. Steyer actually said reparations, and then it was like cut off and moved on, and like, we're not going to talk about this. Shut up, you. But Bo Jiden, he decided it was time. Endorsement or not, I'm going full on Obama.
There's people right now facing what I faced.
This is a compilage.
And what we faced without any of the help I had. We must move now. I'm against any Democrat who opposes, takes down Obamacare, and then a Republican who wants to get rid of Obama.
Let me turn to Senator Sanders.
And the president was left in his, President Obama, I think, did a heck of a job. To compare him to what this guy's doing is absolutely, I find, close to immoral. As the Vice President of the United States, I work with a man who, in fact, we worked very hard to see to it we dealt with these issues in a major, major way. I think you're so underestimating what Barack Obama did. He's the first man to bring together the entire world, 196 nations, to commit to deal with climate change. We increased that background check during the Obama-Biden administration. I'm also the only guy that got assault weapons banned. The president turned to me and said, Joe, get our combat troops out of Iraq.
All right, so he decided now's the time. I don't care if he's not endorsing me. I'm going to play off the Obama-Biden.
He pulled the Obama card.
Well, but there was a moment, and I think this was a pivotal moment for the voters, for the viewers at home, for Democrats, for the people on stage. He made a very good point, and I think it might have created some brain fry.
The politics of the past, I think, were not all that bad. I wrote the Violence Against Women Act. I managed the $900 billion Recovery Act, which in fact...
I love his list of accomplishments.
$900 billion Recovery Act.
Well done, Joe.
Which, in fact, put millions and millions of dollars into his city before he came and helped save his city. I was able to do it. I was able to pass the chemical weapons ban, arms control. And I was the first major leader holding public office to call for same-sex marriage. So I don't...
You remember when he gave that interview and it was supposed to be a big reveal that Obama was going to come out for same-sex marriage, and Joe popped it like 3 days early, and everybody
this
was
is probably
pissed.
still one of the reasons Obama's not going to give him any endorsement.
By the way, I think we caught a flub here. Let me go back to the beginning.
The politics of the past, I think, were not all that bad. I wrote the Violence Against Women Act. I managed the $900 billion.
Oh, it is billion. I thought he said billion. All right, back to the moment is coming.
Ban arms control, and I was the first major leader holding public office to call for same-sex marriage. So I don't know what about the past of Barack Obama and Joe Biden was so bad. What happened? What is it that he wants to do away with? We were just beginning. It was just the beginning of what will be the future of moving this country beyond where it is now in significant ways. And there's ways to do that. And one of the ways to do that is to make sure you have someone who knows how to get things done and can lead the free world at the same time.
This was, to me, a very good point. If Barack Obama was so fantastic and everything was great, why not build upon what he did? Obamacare is not gone yet. It's not done. It has not been repealed. Why not build upon that? Everybody loved Obama. Everybody loved the Biden-Obama administration. Everybody thought it was great. Why are we trying to do something completely different? That was never the plan under Biden-Obama. It was never the plan to do that. Why all these changes? What happened? What is wrong? And I think he's making an excellent point. If we all love Barack Obama so much and how he ran the country, why is every policy completely, in fact, some cases, the opposite of him? The opposite. Obama deported millions of illegal immigrants. We're not going to stay on that Obama plan. No. We're going to let them all back in. Obamacare was flawed and we wanted to improve. No. Screw it. Let's just do Medicare for all. What the hell happened? That's Joe's question. And I think a large part of his constituency thinks the same. But it matters not, because no impeachment, no Bo Biden. He's dropped. No one cares about him. He can't get above fourth place anymore. It's over and done with.
I'm disagreeing, of course.
Yeah, but you'll agree with me that this why the Democrats are in fact want to implement policies counter to what the great Obama did is something that is just not discussed. It's not recognized.
I'm in total agreement with that, and he makes a good point. Maybe he should have started that point earlier.
Well, Pete, of course,
kind of late in the game to dream that one up.
Well, Pete Buttigieg had an answer.
Buttigieg respond, then Senator Sanders.
So those achievements were phenomenally important because they met the moment. But now we have to meet this moment, and this moment is different. The next president is going to face challenges from global health security, like what we're seeing coming out of China, to cybersecurity and election security challenges that were barely thought of a few years ago.
That's all we heard of a few years ago. What are you talking about, Poot? Psyop Pete. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Pete. Yeah.
Don't eat me, Bo Biden. You're scary. So scary.
I have one little Mayor Pete thing, which is kind of funny. It's Democracy Now! Is not a big fan of Pete. No. And this little story didn't go anywhere else, but Democracy Now! Played it.
In more election news, the Daily Beast reports earlier this week, former Mayor Pete Buttigieg's campaign removed the name of the former head of a data company that contracts with ICE from the list of co-hosts of a Buttigieg fundraiser in Washington, D.C., after being contacted by the Daily Beast. Jacob Shapiro is the former president of Giant Oak, which was founded by a former high-level Customs and Border Protection official and has received nearly $45 million in immigration and customs enforcement contracts over the past 6 years.
Nah, who cares? Move on, people. We're all crooked here. Move on. Don't focus on him. Don't give him any fodder. What I thought would be helpful, because this show changes, our attitudes change. Trump basically broke everything. Which is fantastic. I mean, it invigorated my thinking. It's like, it's something different going on. There's a new way of doing politicking. So the State of the Union was rowdy. It was, unprecedented in the reality show Moments, of course, which is just great marketing. He's a marketeer, connecting personal stories to his outcomes, taking responsibility for it, taking credit for it, and at the same time setting a trap. Like, you can't criticize that because you're going to criticize the lady with the premature child who's still alive. You're going to criticize the Tuskegee Airmen. You're going to criticize the guy from Redemption with his alcohol problem and came back and is an upstanding member of society. No, you're not going to do that. We had everybody dressed in, or everybody, Nancy's squad dressed in white, and all of a sudden they're all up and screaming, House Bill 3, House Bill 3. So the rules have changed. Let's go back to the President Obama's State of the Union, which I think at the time we too thought it was inappropriate when this happened. And this, of course, is, this is a little bit of the, I forget which Republican said, "You lie," when it came to immigration. In hindsight, I think the guy was right because, it was about rights of undocumented workers. And also the media and the political fallout. So this would have been, I don't remember what year this. Do you remember when the "You Lie" thing was? What State of the Union that was?
It was a while ago. I'm thinking 2009.
I'm thinking something like that as well. Just to show you how things have changed.
It was early.
Yeah.
This too is false. The reforms I'm proposing would not apply to those who are here illegally. It's not true.
It was stunning to hear such a statement made on the floor of the House when the President of the United States is speaking.
Many details still have to be sorted out, but that does not excuse a congressman's boorish behavior. Hopefully it can be sorted out without resorting to name-calling.
How did we get to a point where it's okay to yell "You lie" at the president while he's speaking to Congress? All that precipitated this moment, the "You lie" moment, a lot of things, everything from the president not being welcome in American classrooms to people casually wearing T-shirts with his image and Hitler and the Joker. This is awfully cavalier, awfully casual, if not callous. So, Phil, where does this come from? And are we saying now that it's okay to openly criticize the president to get this anti-Obama movement fueled?
Some people here sense racial overtones to the Wilson heckle.
Showing disrespect to a black president is something that some South Carolinians, I think a minority, can accept much better than if the president were not an African American.
I don't know how you cannot say that this has a racial factor associated with it.
The very first president in the television age to be heckled, the first president to suffer a heckling in that situation, is the first black president.
An overwhelming portion of the intensely demonstrated animosity toward President Barack Obama is based on the fact that he is a black man.
So the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's, it's all, of course, immediately because he's black. Totally unbelievable that connection is made. But okay, here's what's going on. This tit for tat will go on forever. So we had a Republican guy, clearly a racist, who, and implications of calling him Hitler and the Joker and all those memes were there. It's the same thing. We have longer memories than most because we got clips to back it up.
It was also with Bush.
Yeah, of course it was. But because the Republicans started this one in particular, the Republicans started with, heckling the black man. Whoa, that's not who we are! And so now we get the mayhem that we get about the Republican president. And guaranteed the next Democrat president is going to be impeached on day 3 in office because the people who we elect are shitheels. Pretty much all of them. And this is what goes on all the time. So anybody can pretend to be holier than thou, but you're not. And we've changed too. We've become much more accepting of this type of behavior. And social media has a lot to do with it. The overall discourse, how people communicate. But let's not kid each other. Things have changed. And me personally, I like it. I like it when people are just honest.
It's for the benefit of those who enjoy being entertained all the time.
How can you argue any of that? It's so obvious that's the correct way to view it.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Yeah, as time flies.
It does.
So we have a few people to thank for show 1215. It's not a real long list, but it's a good list. Starting with Sir Davey, $133.33. He's got something in his note there. You might want to look at it. Borislav Myronov at $128. John Carney in Alpharetta, Georgia, 12345. He needs some jobs karma for a smoking hot wife. We'll give you that right at the end. Thomas Wilkinson in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. You got bored with the Democrat debates, huh? I wonder why. Sir Kevin McLaughlin, Earl of Luna in Locust, North Carolina, 8008. Black Knight, Sir Lineman of the Net in Anna, Illinois, 6969. He gets boosted to Baronet.
Very nice.
Oh, he's on the list. Russell Road, 6789. He's got a birthday for someone. Sir Jeffrey Zellin in Oakland, Michigan, 6688. You got an F cancer call out for a night. You should probably do that right now.
At this very moment, yes.
You've got karma.
Break for nights.
We do.
Ben Klinger in Toronto, Ohio, $60. Aaron Mazenberg in Lincoln, Nebraska, 5663. Another happy birthday shout out. Also, Ben's got a birthday. A lot of birthdays today.
Yeah, it's a big rlist.
Chris Rutger in Meeteetse, Wyoming, not New York, 5510. We call it New York, I think, last time, but it's not. It's in Wyoming. Dame Adrienne in Calverton, New York, 5510. Another birthday. Shout out to my smoking hot husband on his 40th. John Fitzpatrick in Heber Springs, 5317. John Davis, another birthday, 52 from Brentwood, Tennessee. Birthday on the 7th. Sean DeSantis in Fort Pierce, Florida. Thank you for your courage. $50.33. And the following people, Dame Catherine, the patient, $50.01. Got another birthday shout out to Bill Walsh, Sir Saturday. And now we have $50 donors, name and location, if I have it. Sir Robin of the Utrecht Highlands in Utrecht, Netherlands. Drew Mochak in El Cerrito, California. Hey, Drew. Melody Fugazotto, Dame Melody Fugazotto.
Yes, we had a very nice dinner with her last night. She was.
Oh yes, well let's talk about that. We'll talk about it now.
Okay. We took her to Fix. FIXE. That's actually where Tina and I had our first date back in the day.
Oh, you should have taken her to the Iron Bear.
Have you been reading your Twit magazine again, Mr. Dvorak? Are you checking out those hunky boys again? And she's studying at UT. She was not with Dame Isabella because she's getting ready for yet another dance competition here. We got a lot of inside info on the river dance community. Wow, there's a lot going on. Not to be repeated on the show, but oh my gosh, this is very competitive. And of course, Sir Dave is the Earl. He's still in Saudi Arabia. And it was really nice. It was nice to have Dame Melody to ourselves, just to chat. And she travels so much. And they're ex-military, so they kind of never stop traveling. I guess they just keep on moving everywhere, live in different places. Really good time. So nice to be able to host her here in Austin.
Well, she donated $50. She's located supposedly in Gladstone, Missouri.
Yeah, this week.
Edward Mazurek in Memphis, Tennessee. Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio. Tony Smith. These are all $50 donors. Tony Smith in Fort Worth, Texas. Larry Hay in Mooresville, North Carolina. Jason Gay in North Glen, Colorado.
And that's a donation in honor of my eyes open brother, Aaron. When is Adam's show with Rogan coming? We got that. That's March 3rd. Okay. All right. That's for his brother.
We're with Sir Kyle Meyer in Atlanta, Georgia, and Jeffrey Zinneman in South Euclid, Ohio. Those are all our producers for show 1215. I want to thank each and every one of them for contributing to the show and making it happen.
Yeah, thank you. And also people who come in under 50 to remain anonymous, or for those who are on some of our programs. You heard we have a night coming up. I think, in fact, Brian Tucker, 11/11 a month. And he started, what was it, about
2009.
Yeah, so we started 10 years
ago.
Yeah, but it's actual value that we appreciate, and clearly he's received some value in return, so we could not be happier. Thank you all very much, and please consider supporting us for our next program. We will be pronounsticating that broadcast on Thursday. To support us, go to our very easy-to-remember website,
Dvorak.org/NA.
For those who request it.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
It's your birthday. On No Agenda.
It is the 9th of February, 2020. Here's our list. We got a couple of belated birthdays. John Davis says happy birthday to his daughter, Captain Kim. Yes, I believe she's flying the B-52 now. She celebrated on the 7th. Russell Rhodes, happy birthday to his son, Vikram, turned 10 yesterday. And Dame Catherine the Patient, happy birthday to Bill Walsh, Sir Saturday, who also celebrated on Saturday. Coming up, we've got Brian Tucker, turns 47 on the 11th. Jenna D'Amico, happy birthday to her smoking hot boyfriend, Sir Ryan the Refiner. Ben Klinger, happy birthday to his brother Rom, 33 years old today. Aaron Meinsberg, happy birthday to brother Kevin Meinsberg, celebrating tomorrow. And Dame Adrian says happy birthday to her smoking hot husband Joe. He turns 40 years old. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
Title changes, turn and face the slave. Title changes, don't want to be a douchebag.
We got two title changes for today. We have our Black Knight becomes Baronet, Sir Lineman of the Net, Raleigh Hawk, and Sir #Blessed becomes Sir @Chuck Boyce Jr. of the Data. Thanks to their continued contributions in another $1,000 to the No Agenda Show to support our Value for Value network. Thank you very much. It is highly appreciated. Only one knighting for today, but at least we have one. We haven't had one in a few shows. Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I'll take that. We got our blades out for Brian Tucker. Brian, come on up to the podium here. Brian, thank you for supporting the No Agenda Show. For the amount of $1,000, you become a member of the No Agenda Knights and Dames here at the round table, and I am very proud to pronounstiate the Sir Brian, the slow and steady knight of the No Agenda Roundtable. For you, we've got Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Pog and Poi, Horseheads Pumpkin Ale, Brisket and Barrel Aged Copper Ale, Polish Potato and Vodka, Beer and Blunts, Brazilian Hotties and Chachaka. We've got Rubenesque Women and Rosé, Geishas and Sake, Vodka Vanilla, Bong Hits and Bourbon, Sparkling Cider and Escorts, Ginger Ale and Gerbils. And of course, there's Mutton and Mead. And there's always enough mutton and mead to go around. Please, Sir Brian, the slow and steady knight, head over to noagendanation.com/rings and give us all of your info. All your info belongs to us, and we'll send you out your official No Agenda Knight ring, the sealing wax, and your certificate. And thank you for supporting the show, the No Agenda podcast.
No Agenda meetups.
It's like a party. We had a number of meetups. These meetups are...
Sorry, did we do the upgrades to some people's status?
Yeah, the titles.
Oh, I missed that somehow. I must have zoned out.
Dozed off for a moment. Yeah, thanks for checking. Yeah, we did. We have a meetup report from Norway. This was the first one. Michael Tiny Homes, mutualwin.com, Bernstein. John Adam, happy to report that last night's first ever Norway No Agenda meetup was a rousing success. In total, we had 5 slaves that enjoyed moose burgers. That sounds good, actually. That sounds good.
Go in there next time. I love a moose burger.
I would love a moose burger as well. Moose Burger's expensive Norwegian beer and non-triggering convo, while most likely spotting the spook. You know who you are. I believe the Norway team will make this a regular event, and even though I saw the picture, it was obvious. Anyone who looks like Mayor Pete, probably a spook. Dress-wise. I believe the Norway team will make this a regular event, and even though, unfortunately, I will not be able to attend, I will be donating $33 on behalf of their continued success. One special shout-out to Hans Peter, who picked me up hours before the event to show me this fantastic city. How incredibly no-agenda awesome is that? And I allow the use of the word awesome, because, yes, that's exactly who we are. We got your knights and dames of Tokyo taken care of. It's like it sounds corny, but we are a family. We have some meetup reports that were sent in via audio. Jesse Coy Nelson, who has diligently been going around the Middle East trying to organize, he's organized meetups, has been unsuccessful in Beirut, was unsuccessful in, where was he after that?
I think Ramallah.
Well, Ramallah, here's his report from the Ramallah meetup.
Hey, this is Jesse Coy Nelson here in Ramallah, Palestine. I feel like a bit of a stalker as I wait outside of the bar Barley's to see if anybody goes in. I'll give it another 20 minutes past the meetup time. It was a long shot, but I figured I'd give it a try. As far as Ramallah, it's very interesting, very busy, bustling place. Go along the main street, you got lots of restaurants, cafes, lots of nightlife, and people are just out and about, and it's always interesting to go to a place that you hear about and you wonder what it's like, and you go there and find out, and it's very nice here. Okay.
Yes, unfortunately, no one else attended the Ramallah No Agenda meetup, but I believe that they had the Jaffa meetup today, and I expect some of our Israeli listeners to attend. Jesse Coy Nelson, by the way, will continue. He's already been, I think, in 130 different countries or something. He's not going to stop, and he will be in Cairo on Tuesday, and we'll be talking about that in a second in the overview. Meanwhile, we had the Toronto Meetup, MEAT, report.
Hey, this is Bishop, but it's rope time, so I'm out of here.
This is Constantine in the morning.
This is Michael, having fun in Toronto.
In the morning, this is Sir Dwight the Knight. I have nothing else to say.
In the morning, this is Sir Acid of the Scandinavian Wood.
There's always one guy at the meetup that sounds like that. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
There's always one guy.
That's a funny point.
There's always one guy that sounds like this.
In the morning, this is Sir Acid of the Scandinavian Woods from the Toronto Meetup.
All right, a half-hearted in the morning there from everybody. We had the Shillanoisians meet up.
Hey, this is Black Knight, Sir Lyman of the Net, pretty soon to be Baronet of Southern Illinois. That's how you say it. We're here at St. Nick's in DuQuoin, having our second meetup of the Southern Illinoisans, and really enjoying our time here at St. Nick's. Really proud that I'm at the point where I get to be considered a baronet, that get my title changed finally, and so I'm going to pass the mic along to Kyle here.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and I'm a douchebag. I'm also a millennial, and ironically, I ordered mac and cheese tonight.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm Steve in DuQuoin, and I too am a douchebag, and it's like a party.
Hi, I'm Faith. I'm married to Steve, and this is my first meetup. Hi, I'm Michelle, and this is my first meetup as well.
And this is Joey Hawkins, or Joseph Hawkins again, with the Southern Shillanoisians, and I'll end with a shut up, slave.
Yeah, we're enjoying the mac and cheese here tonight at St. Nick's in DuQuoin, Illinois, once again from the Southern Shillanoisians.
All right, Shillanoisians. Dame Jamie in Connecticut hosted a meetup. I don't know if they recorded this on one of those memo recorders, or it was all kind of like all nasal, high end. So we'll see how well this comes through.
What's going on, everybody? It's Brandon, once again, the only black person here. Step up, chip in, goddammit.
Apparently, Brandon goes to a lot of meetups and complains he's the only black guy at the meetup, which I think is great.
What's going on, everybody? It's Brandon, once again, the only black person here. Step up, chip in, goddammit. This is douchebag Zach from Stratford, Connecticut. military-industrial complex. Here we come. My fiance threw me off by not going. It's sauce in the morning. I happen to be at a meetup in Fairfield where we just moved to. Nice place to move to.
In the morning, Sir John, a.k.a. Red, Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself.
Hey, it's Matt, the recovering millennial. John knows a lot more about beer than I do.
It's Jordan, Baron of Pearl Harbor, in the morning.
Sir Mad Hatter from the broke state of Connecticut. I am not having sexual relations with a Democratic candidate.
I'm Jada. Don't eat me, Bojainen.
And this is Dame Jamie. I've had a kid on my tit.
Rowdy bunch there in Connecticut.
Jeez.
Rowdy bunch. So as I said, we've got the Club 33 in Cairo on deck for Tuesday. I hope someone's in Cairo. Jesse Coy Nelson, so nice that he's doing this. But at least we'll have left our stank on all these different places. We can always say there was a No Agenda meetup is just very small. Wednesday, No Agenda Local 1 in Plymouth, Michigan. Friday, a most marvelous Middle Eastern meetup in Manama. And that is Bahrain. And that is, this is Sir Dave Fugazzotto, Earl of America's Heartland in Saudi Arabia. This will be the first ever Manama, Bahrain meetup at the Sherlock Holmes pub in the Gulf Hotel. This coming Friday, Stockholm, the No Agenda meetup there. Look for the organizer in the No Agenda Space Force t-shirt, looking extremely American at O'Connell's Irish pub in Gamalistan. That will be Michael hosting for you. And next Sunday, the Minneapolis warm-up at 5 o'clock, the Venn Brewery Tap Room in South Minneapolis. Dr. Hammer is your organizer. I have a note here. Okay. I believe we were going to night our meetup, noagendameetups.com admin.
Yeah.
Did we check on that? Do we have a night name for him?
Daniel. I don't know if
I know it's Daniel, but I mean, but he a night name. I know his name, but a night name.
Well, it's supposed to be a surprise, maybe.
I'm sure he's surprised now.
Hey, Daniel, how you doing?
Daniel, let us know what your night name is going to be because it's well deserved. NoAgendaMeetups.com is providing tremendous value, not so much for monetary for the show, but for the show, for the producers of the show. It kicks ass over any other infrastructure that we've tried that was commercial, like meetups.com. NoAgendaMeetups.com, perfectly suited for us. It's where you can find a meetup near you at a time near you. And if there isn't one, all you have to do is start one. Put it on the calendar yourself. And the Keeper and I will be in Florida, Delray Beach meetup on the 21st of February. See you there.
Sometimes you wanna go hang out with all the nights and days. You wanna be where you won't be triggered or held to blame. You wanna be where everybody feels the same. It's like a party.
There we go.
So I have 3 clips left that I want to play for sure.
Okay.
One of them is, I think, let's just play. This is kind of an odd clip. This is talking about this PBS report on the Starliner. So with Starliner, this is like there's the idea of the independent launches into space by Boeing and SpaceX or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And apparently the Boeing stuff is again, they're having all kinds of software issues, and here's a report.
So later in the week, we also had kind of an update to some of the things that people were figuring out about the Starliner project. What was happening?
So right now, there are 2 companies that are creating these new vehicles to take astronauts to and from the International Space Station, and they're getting really close to actually putting people on those vehicles. Mm-hmm. But before they do that, they have to do these uncrewed flight tests, and Boeing did its uncrewed flight test in December, and it didn't really go according to plan at the time. A software glitch prevented the capsule from getting into the right orbit, so it didn't actually go to the International Space Station like it's supposed to. But now we're learning that there was actually a second software glitch. that was corrected at the time, but if it hadn't been corrected, it could have been a catastrophic failure for the spacecraft, and it could have maybe been destroyed when it re-entered Earth's atmosphere. We don't know, because fortunately they fixed it, but it is kind of highlighting that Boeing is having these coding problems, and NASA is really doing a deep investigation into that.
As the Starliner project is happening, you also have the SpaceX project that's kind of working in parallel, and that is planning on putting people into orbit.
Right. So initially, when they chose these two providers, it was supposed to spark competition. And man, since then, that competition has really heated up. They definitely are constantly going back and forth with one another and trying to prove and beat out the provider.
Beating out the other provider. Thank you.
Provider.
Provider.
That was kind of interesting. This is going on. We're still sending our guys to the space station thanks to Russia.
Their engines. Yep, we don't have them.
Apparently, it's their engines and their vehicles too. I mean, we have to go to Russia.
Yeah,
and our astronaut goes to Russia and gets on a Russian product and shoots it up. They shoot it up, and there you go. I found this an interesting clip. This is the Trump comment clip. And it's just something he's given some talk to. He was like giving talks all the time. And he said this little ditty in here, and I kind of looked into it, but it did catch me off guard.
Behind. In the coming months, my administration will hold summits just like this one in cities across the country, working closely with community leaders, workers, entrepreneurs, employers, and faith leaders, great faith leaders. So many great people I've met. We got rid of the Johnson Amendment so they can speak their will, right?
Okay. John, do tell us about the Johnson Amendment.
Well, apparently this was put in place, I think, in the 50s, and it had to do with 501c3s and how they can't come out for, and I think it also has to do with churches, because that's what he's specifically referring to, where if you're a church and you're a pastor, you can't go in front of your congregation and say, vote for Trump. We've known about this for a while, and Trump decided with an executive order to just kill this thing.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought it's has not been talked about. It's underreported. The media is flat-footed again. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
I'd say they'd want to report on that as something horrific.
You'd think.
Horrific. Now, wait a minute. That's not true. Wasn't it before the impeachment? I recall there was a brief moment of reporting. I can't remember. It certainly was on the radar just briefly and dropped right off. But yeah, to have church, I think the complaint went something like this. Well, you can't not be paying taxes, have the government subsidize your church if it's all going to be political. Then it's, emoluments clause. I don't know.
That was the original thinking behind it, the Johnson Amendment. Just like you're getting a tax break, and we can't mix government with, religion. And
I think it's a fair point.
The logic was
fair point. I think it's a fair point. If you're going to get tax breaks, there's certain things. Okay, if you're going to have a tax-free organization, your speech will be controlled. That's why we never went that route. For this very reason. You don't want the government telling you what you can and can't do.
Well, that's gone by the wayside, I think, and unless it gets challenged, that means the next
president can turn it around.
Because the 2010 election, you're going to have a lot of fundamentalist preachers, evangelist preachers telling people to vote for Trump. Because they're going to do that, especially if Bernie runs, because he's a socialist. He hates religion. He's an athist.
They should put a stop to it.
You want to vote for an atheist?
It's not who we are!
So this is like a little thing that nobody, this should be a scandal to me if I was a Democrat, but they're too stupid. Now the
Vindman.
That guy. Lieutenant Colonel, please. In fact, I think Biden should have been called out for not calling him Lieutenant Colonel.
Yes, I think that was a big issue.
So now this is a report. This may set a new trend that I don't. This is a classic Democracy Now! Kind of. Let's add a new element to the way we report stories.
Okay.
And this is the report on the old El Paso shooting. Apparently, they found the guy guilty or whatever. But the way it was reported, to me, introduces some real problems.
I'm looking for the clip, John. Which one is
it? Sorry. It says report on old El Paso shooting.
I found it. Got it.
In El Paso, Texas, the white man suspected of killing 22 people at an El Paso.
Gotta love that white man report.
In El Paso, Texas.
That's exactly what this is. You can't. How do you get away with saying the white man?
Well, it's kind of.
You're going to say the black man, the Puerto Rican, the Mexican. You're going to start using that all the time as an adjective in front of whoever's doing stuff. If you start doing that, you're going to go down the road to perdition. But let's play it again.
I think that the white man is the new Florida man. You know, like instead of a Florida man, just search and replace a Florida man with a white man.
In El Paso, Texas, the white man suspected of killing 22 people at an El Paso Walmart last August has been charged with federal hate crimes. The alleged killer is accused of targeting Latinos in a racially motivated massacre. Moments before the August 3rd shooting, the shooter published an online manifesto echoing President Trump's rhetoric about an invasion of immigrants.
Trump.
Oh, boy. Well, if you're going to...
This is... I really paid attention to this white man thing.
Yeah, if you want...
I would do that with all black criminals? Or did somebody robs a bank? I just don't see it. I mean, I don't see this as a good thing.
Okay, well, to be fair, in context of the report, which claims it was racially motivated against brown people, although they said Latinos, should have said brown people. To be honest, that would be the style guide. If you're going to say a white man, you got to say he shot brown people. That would be fair. But I think
that's not what she did.
No, but in the context, it was a racially motivated. I'm going to wind up with 3 clips for today about the homelessness situation in Austin, Texas, which is quickly becoming a model of how not to do things, especially when you have examples of California, Washington State, Oregon. We have very clear models of how it does not work. So we'll start with, hold on a second. We start with a big, now this actually happened earlier in the week. We had a very big fire under a highway here in Austin.
Couches, TVs, propane tanks, actually padlocked areas, mattresses, trash, and literally hundreds of needles.
It's an entire system of underground homes. Stovetops, refrigerators, bunk beds, all built into this bridge.
I like landscaping, and so I dug a big-ass cave into the wall under the bridge, about 10 feet off the ground.
Rich Johnson believes he's one of about 100 people living under the bridge.
I mean, I built a furnace and chimney in there, and it's nice and warm and cozy.
This catacomb-like camp spans roughly 3 football fields. Monday morning, it went up in flames.
We come down here for medical calls a lot. We've always feared there being a fire. Well, there was a fire. Upon arrival, there were no residents of the camp that we had to deal with and rescue.
Everyone appears to be okay, though firefighters were worried about spaces and possibly people they just couldn't reach.
It is definitely a very unsafe situation for our firefighters, as they're going to have to dig through this stuff for hours.
Hazmat has been called in just to make sure that, it's safe for our guys to go down there.
TxDOT sent Hazmat to the scene as their bridge inspectors were unable to access the fire's starting point otherwise.
They've become very resourceful in dealing with lack of no power, so there's a generator. That we have to account for, that leaking into the watershed.
Last week, the city began cleaning up homeless camps and watersheds as part of a $250,000 year-long contract that could be extended. The city is flexible on how many sites they'll clean up this year, but right now they're slated to clean approximately 20. This site was not on the city's initial list of spots to clean. And TxDOT tells us the bridge is fine. Rich Johnson tells us the room he carved out under that bridge is also okay. He plans to return as soon as possible.
So this was to me, quite spectacular. 3 football fields of dwelling space dug out underneath the highway, apparently not any danger to the integrity of the structure, but something caught fire and just burning is all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the guy who you heard in the beginning of the report said, "Oh no, I'm like I like building things." And, he could be an architect, I guess, but no, he decides to do that under the bridge. And I have I really am losing compassion for the campers because that's what this is. They've been driven out of downtown, so no longer do we have people camping in downtown Austin by ordinance, but go ahead and just go out anywhere else you want to, and these aren't even Austinites anymore. These are, many of them, vagrants and harassing people in their cars with squeegees, etc., and I'm becoming quite negative about them. As always, we have our monthly meeting in Austin. It happens on Thursday. You heard in the report hundreds of needles found around this camp. This is from the Thursday council meeting. Council member Allison Alter. She had something to say about these needles.
And I just wanted to point out, because, folks are expressing concern over the needles, that people use needles for health reasons and for insulin and other stuff. And I believe that's what we were seeing. And so I just wanted to throw that out there, that a lot of folks who are homeless have health issues and are using the needles for health reason. That doesn't make them safe to be on the ground, but it is that is one of the reasons that we may be finding those in those areas.
Well, this woman is about to be run out of town. Oh, yeah. The needles are clearly for health issues, for insulin, which I'm sure they have in their refrigerator right nearby. This is how insane it's become in Austin, Texas, that she can't even admit that people are doing drugs. No. It's for health reasons. Don't be so mean to them, please. So now the city of Austin has yet again a fabulous idea. If you recall, we had a consultant come in who the reports at the time were she quit after 1 day on the job. Now they've changed that to 4 months, but she really didn't do anything. But don't worry. We found another consultant.
City of Austin is recruiting more help internally and externally to work on homelessness issues.
Today, the council approved hiring Matthew Doherty as a consultant. Doherty helped shape national homelessness policy for years.
KXAN investigator Kevin Clark spoke to city management about the decision to increase staffing and the difficult lessons learned last year.
T lives life on the streets. She's far removed from the homelessness policy debate inside City Hall, where the movers and shakers are changing again. The city wants to pay close to $100,000 to Matthew Doherty, who would work through the end of September to help Austin. Doherty has national connections, having been executive director of the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness.
We're certainly looking forward to his ideas. So ultimately, recommendations that he provides, connections and coordination.
This comes as Austin is creating a homelessness services division within the city's public health department. It's expected to include multiple full-time employees and a public information officer.
It gives what was a one-person homeless strategy office, it gives it the support that we need and believe is much more appropriate.
Lori Pampilo Harris resigned as Austin's homeless strategy officer, on the job less than 4 months. In emails from December about her long-term goals for homelessness policy, she told city management, "I was hoping for enough time to do an appropriate assessment, asset mapping, and intersectional discovery that would lead to some concrete planning and action steps. I never was given the space or time to do this appropriately or with the focus needed." She also told staff, "I have seen it being exhibited from elected officials that they are looking for the solutions for today and not the solving of the issue for the future. I have a challenge with that."
There was a lot that Lori could have, a lot of additional support from an administrative perspective that Lori didn't have, that we've certainly learned in terms of lessons.
Sorely lacking from this report about the brand new consultant to fix Austin's homelessness problem is the actual background of Matthew Doherty, who was appointed in 2015 by the Obama administration to lead the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, which was tasked with coordinating the federal response to homelessness across 19 agencies, including Department of Housing, Urban Development, Education, Labor, and Commerce, and was fired last year by the Trump administration for utter failings, mainly in California. This is the dickhead we're bringing here to fix it in Austin. Can you believe that shit?
Yeah, of course.
And they don't
That's
even
what you do in Austin.
They don't
you got
even
lots
report
of money,
it.
You're just throwing it away.
They don't even report it, and something's gonna happen.
You know, I think the point that really your real point is, Why wasn't that reported by the news media that you have there in Austin? They can look it up. You looked it up.
It was so hard. I had to do a whole search and type the guy's name and spell it properly. It's insane. I can understand how hard it is.
So much work. Oh, my God. It's like everyone's a teenage girl. That they, do I have to?
Yeah.
Do I have to?
Really, really, really disappointing.
That's funny.
Yes. So the struggle continues in the capital of the Drone Star State, everybody. And on Thursday, I have an OTG update that I'm dying to share with you. We got lots of good stuff, and who the heck knows what else is going to happen. Because it's nuts out there. Oh, by the way, United Kingdoms of England, Gitmo Nation East, good luck with that storm. They got a massive storm coming. It's like everything's shut down. No flights, no trains, bridges. They're looking at 80, 90 mile-an-hour winds. So, yeah. So we're thinking of you. We're thinking of you.
Yeah, we're thinking of you.
Yeah, we're thinking
of us, too.
All right, yeah, please think of us. Consider supporting the Value for Value Network of the No Agenda Show at Dvorak.org/NA. And we look forward to returning back to you probably with, if we're live, we'll have an update on the Wuhan virus and everything else that's going on. Coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. We are FEMA Region number 6 and proud of it. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're having a little windstorm up here, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Thursday right here on No Agenda. Until then, adios, mofos, and such. Oh, yes. End of shows from Fletcher and Starkweather.
Back up and a back up and a back up and a back up.
Come on, man. Come on, man. Drip. He violated the Constitution. And I don't count drunk driving as a felony. That's the issue. Come on, man. Come on, man. But that doesn't make it right. But everybody knows who this guy is. Come on, man.
That's astounding.
Pretty good. That's the issue. Come on, man. You're going to get fired.
What you see is so sad.
You're fired.
So sad.
I'm looking forward to this, man.
So sad.
In their heart and their head.
You know what I'm talking about?
Do what he did.
This grand experiment we call democracy will have been fatally eroded.
He's had enough.
Pretty good. Nailed it.
I'm so smart.
Pretty good.
Nailed it. I have the greatest idea. I am so smart. Let's go.
My Republican opponents
Let's go.
have gotten out of politics for good. And that guy started to cry.
Some fun. This is a lot of fun.
I think that sounds pretty good.
That's why I always say you have to thank yourself because nobody else is going to do it.
Henceforth, forthwith, indubitably, affirmatively, we're the Democrats.
Joe, I want to answer. Really, I think you should come over.
I keep listening to this same debate, and it is not real.
I'm the President of the United States. I have all of the power.
Good for Republicans and Democrats.
We saw what happens when that happened.
These things are all connected, but that's the point. So are all of the things that need to change. Americans feel like the political parties have been playing you lose, I lose, you lose, I lose for years. And you know who's been losing this entire time? We have.
A drug offense, they go directly mandatory mandatory treatment, not prison.
But at the end of the day, there's no way around it. You may want to nibble around the edges.
Corruption. And that's what we can run on. We bring our party together. It's an issue we can all agree on and fight for to end the corruption.
I got this bill.
Well, the reality is, actually, Joe Biden's right.
They call me, I talk to them, and I believe I can get it done.
Meeting the moment. We had a moment the last few weeks.
Close your eyes, everybody. Remember what you saw on television.
Largely black and brown women who do this work.
Entrepreneurs who are black and brown and minorities to be able to get
The heart and soul of this party is diversity, black people, Latinos, AAPI people, Native Americans, and white people. But for goodness sakes, pull it together.
Get up there. Who we are. That's who we are. We are not what Trump is.
We're the Democrats.
The best Dvorak.org/NA.
The whole thing is a joke.